Chapter 2354. I fell asleep. Tang Ao was astonished. Tang Ao couldn't be blamed for being astonished. After a martial artist started cultivating, their body would be full of qi and blood and yuan qi. As long as they meditated, they would be able to recover. There was no need to sleep at all. Not to mention astral-reaching martial artists. Even origin martial realm martial artists wouldn't need to sleep. Soon, Tang Ao's gaze landed on the boulder below him. There's something wrong with this boulder. Tang Ao jumped off the boulder and started to examine it carefully. This boulder was even taller than Tang Ao. It looked like a huge stone brick. Tang Ao scanned it with his soul remembrance and discovered that this boulder had many mysterious ripples. However, Tang Ao still couldn't recognize what this boulder was. Although he couldn't recognize it, Tang Ao still discovered some uses of this boulder. On this boulder, he could see some strange scenes. Tang Ao thought about it carefully and realized that the magma sea under the Heaven Fire Gate was indeed the Heaven Fire ruins. At the same time, Tang Ao saw Pill, Saint Greenrock in the Heaven Fire Gate, who was concocting a kind of heaven-defying pill. However, Tang Ao didn't see what happened next. Tang Ao thought for a moment and immediately jumped onto this boulder, wanting to see if he could continue to sleep. However, Tang Ao discovered that his body was full of qi and blood, and his whole body was full of zhen yuan. It was impossible for him to sleep in this state. Sure enough, after trying for a long time, Tang Ao found that he really couldn't fall asleep. Sighing lightly, Tang Ao continued to deduce the 7th grade immortal array at the entrance of the cave. However, Tang Ao immediately discovered that as he sat on this boulder, his perception instantly became incomparably clear. The few points that couldn't be the same before were instantly understood by Tang Ao. Tang Ao knew that this was definitely not because he had suddenly understood, but because of the mysteries of this boulder. Thinking of this, Tang Ao decided to refine this strange boulder. For several days in a row, Tang Ao had been deducing on this boulder. After Tang Ao made the last hand seal, a hexagonal array gate suddenly flashed in front of Tang Ao. Although it was just a flash, Tang Ao was still ecstatic. Without any hesitation, Tang Ao walked towards the grade 7 immortal array. This time, Tang Ao did not take out the array flags. Instead, he directly used the void array pattern. One by one, Tang Ao outlined the runes, and then a hexagonal door gradually took shape. After this array door was completely formed, it directly opened a hexagonal passage in the grade 7 trap and kill array. Tang Ao even saw the scene outside. Unfortunately, he only took a glance before the scene outside was instantly cut off. However, Tang Ao was indeed ecstatic. After half a year, he had finally made some progress, and he could continue to deduce like this. It wouldn't be long before Tang Ao could use his own array door to open an entrance in the trap and kill array. This way, after Tang Ao left, the grade 7 trap and kill array would not be destroyed. Moreover, Tang Ao could also enter at any time. At this thought, Tang Ao was completely immersed in the deduction of the array door. Although Tang Ao had deduced this hexagonal array door based on the changes in the trap and kill array, Tang Ao's array formation standard was still in the ranks of grade for immortal arrays. Chapter 2355. However, Tang Ao still modified it until he had complete control of the array door. Only then did Tang Ao stop. Now, Tang Ao could leave at any time. However, this time, Tang Ao was not in a hurry to leave. Tang Ao began to refine the bluish-gray boulder. There were some vague runes on the boulder. After the immortal spiritual power was injected, stars seemed to rise from it. It did not look ordinary. After Tang Ao began to refine the boulder, Tang Ao found that it was very easy to refine and there was only a layer of restriction on it. In just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Tang Ao managed to refine the stone. In the depths of the cave, Tao Master Sky Fire's eyeballs were about to fall out. What was this? A person favored by the heavens? Was he the reincarnation of a divine king? Back then, it took him 1,000 years to refine the Tao-seeking stone. But in Tang Ao's hands, it was refined in less than an incense's time. He could even enter the void dream realm and explore the past and the future without refining the Tao-seeking stone. After a long time, Tao Master Sky Fire shook his head. Although Tang Ao was good, he was still not a suitable successor for his Sky Fire path. Otherwise, Tang Ao would have sensed the other treasure of Sky Fire path in the cave. Many people, including his disciples, thought that he had died. In fact, Tao Master Sky Fire sealed himself and fell into a deep sleep out of regret. This time, if he had not sensed the aura of Muron Wonder in North Chun, Tao Master Sky Fire would not have woken up. Tao Master Sky Fire had 9 true disciples and 800 in-name disciples. When he cultivated to the peak of the Tao Master Realm, he obtained a divine Tao fruit by chance. A divine Tao fruit was needed for a celestial turbid realm expert to break through to the Tao Master Realm, and a divine Tao fruit was needed for a Tao Master to break through to the Divine King Realm. After taking the divine Tao fruit, he failed to break through and suffered the backlash of the divine Tao. But at this time, his best friend, Pill St. Greenrock, rushed over and started refining the divine Tao pill. Never did he expect that when he was about to succeed, his eldest disciple, Qi Lianzi, attracted the attention of the 9 demon gods of the earth demon world, Yuan Yin. If Heavenly Fire Tao Master was at his peak, he would not be afraid of Yuan Yin. However, Heavenly Fire Tao Master was severely injured at that time and was no match for Yuan Yin. Thus, Tao Master Sky Fire was controlled by Yuan Yin with a secret technique. He destroyed the Sky Fire sect and fought with Pill St. Greenrock. Pill St. Greenrock could not bear to hurt him, but his first disciple, Qi Lianzi, ambushed him. In the end, under the combined attacks of Qi Lianzi and Yuan Yin, Pill St. Greenrock fell. After consuming the divine Tao pill, he did not break through to the godly king realm, but he also temporarily gained the might of a godly king. After severely injuring Qi Lianzi and Yuan Yin, Tao Master Heavenly Fire sealed himself and fell into a deep slumber. Every time he thought about it, Tao Master Heavenly Fire was filled with endless regret. After so many years, Tao Master Sky Fire naturally understood that there was something wrong with that divine Tao fruit. The God Tao fruit was purposely given to him by his first disciple, Qi Lianzi. After a moment of sadness, Tao Master Heavenly Fire fell into a deep sleep again. Other than the boundless regret in his heart, it was also because his injuries were extremely severe. After so many years, he still needed to recover Yuan Qi through deep sleep. Naturally, Tang Ao did not know that his action of refining the Tao-seeking stone had been seen by Tao Master Heavenly Fire. At this moment, after refining the Tao-seeking stone, Tang Ao felt that the stone could fly. Immediately, Tang Ao sat on the Tao-seeking stone and made a hand seal. Then, Tang Ao actually flew up. Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat, and the Tao-seeking stone suddenly accelerated, directly hitting a mountain rock. Anxious, Tang Ao wanted to stop the Tao-seeking stone, but at this moment, the Tao-seeking stone roared towards the mountain rock like a meteor. Tang Ao's body moved, and he hurriedly jumped down from the Tao-seeking stone. With a boom, the Tao-seeking stone hit the mountain rock. At this moment, the entire Heavenly Fire ruins shook visibly. As time passed, although there were not as many martial artists coming to the Heavenly Fire ruins now, because of the existence of the 5 Thunder Heavenly Fire, a large number of martial artists came every day. Obviously, they were trying to tame the 5 Thunder Heavenly Fire or find other opportunities in the Heavenly Fire ruins. What just happened? Why was there such a big commotion? Many people looked in the direction of Tang Ao, their eyes full of doubt. Could it be that a great treasure has appeared? Impossible. If there really was a treasure, it would have been taken away by the elders in the past 6 months. Chapter 2356. After observing for a while, Tang Ao waved his hand, and the stone shrunk rapidly. In the end, it turned into a square stone in Tang Ao's hand. Tang Ao played with the stone for a while before putting it away. Then, Tang Ao looked around the cave again. After confirming that there was nothing else, Tang Ao walked toward the entrance of the cave. He had been here for half a year, and it was time to leave. During this time, Tang Ao's biggest gain was increasing his cultivation to the 3rd level of astral reaching realm. At the same time, his formation mastery was infinitely close to a 5th rank formation master. Originally, Tang Ao thought that the most valuable thing in this cavern was the yin-yang Dao fruit that Shui Haiqing had snatched away. However, after obtaining the Dao Seeking Stone, Tang Ao felt that this Dao Seeking Stone might be the most valuable treasure. The yin-yang Dao fruit would only be useful after Tang Ao reached the peak of the chaotic sky realm. However, on the path of cultivation, no one could be sure what level they could reach. There were just too many geniuses who had fallen in the middle of cultivation. Out of 100 body refining realm martial artists, only one could reach the origin martial realm. But out of 1,000 origin martial realm martial artists, only one could reach the Sea of Souls realm. As for the life and death realm, which was above the Sea of Souls realm, it was even rarer. In the history of the 7 Kills martial school, the number of martial artists who had reached the astral reaching realm could be counted on one hand. Although this was only in the low rank realm, the competition in the high rank realm was even crueler. There were even more talented martial artists. To reach the yin-yang realm, or even the chaotic sky realm, one would need to put in an unimaginable amount of effort. This was also why the South Ruined City had only one yin-yang realm martial artist, Nan Huili, despite having existed for tens of thousands of years. In comparison, the Dao Seeking Stone was too useful. The Dao Seeking Stone could increase a martial artist's comprehension. Cultivating on the Dao Seeking Stone, one would be able to feel everything very clearly and stay in a light and agile state. It was also with the help of the Dao Seeking Stone that Tang Ao was able to create the hexagonal formation door in such a short time. Walking to the entrance of the cave, Tang Ao formed a series of hand seals and drew out a series of void runes. Now, Tang Ao was even more amazed by Muron Wanner's attainments in the array Dao. Back then, Tang Ao had personally witnessed Muron Wanner forming this grade 7 immortal array with a wave of her hand. But now it was already so difficult for Tang Ao to open up a hole in this grade 7 immortal array. As Tang Ao outlined the void formation patterns, a wave of vague fluctuations emerged from the formation. A moment later, a hexagonal array door was opened. Tang Ao stepped out and arrived outside the cave. Looking at the hexagonal array door on the trap and kill array, Tang Ao felt quite proud. With a thought, Tang Ao's void runes immediately dispersed. This time, Tang Ao had already concealed this set of void runes inside the trap and kill array. The next time Tang Ao came, he could directly activate this set of formation runes and open up a formation door on the trap and kill array. After walking out of the cave, Tang Ao removed the grade 1 concealment immortal array outside and replaced it with a grade 4 concealment immortal array. A grade 4 concealment immortal array was already a very high-level formation in the ruins of immortality. This was because the strongest immortal array master in the ruins of immortality, Liu Jun, was only a grade 3 immortal array master. Chapter 2357. Tang Ao didn't stop and walked out of the Heavenly Fire ruins directly. Tang Ao had gained a lot from the Skyfire ruins, but he had also discovered that he had missed out on 2 of the top treasures that had appeared in the Skyfire ruins. The Black Crow Demonic Flames Fire Spirit and the Yin-Yang Dao Fruit were both world-shaking treasures. However, Tang Ao didn't get either of them. This made Tang Ao understand that opportunities were equal and everyone had the right to fight for them. Just like back in the cavern, Tang Ao also had the space-piercing talisman, but Tang Ao didn't get the Yin-Yang Dao fruit in the end. However, Tang Ao felt that his decision back then was correct. Although he was trapped in the Heavenly Fire Cavern for half a year, his formations had improved greatly, and he had also obtained the Dao Seeking Stone. When Tang Ao returned to the September Pill House, he found that only Jin Shun and Su Shiro were there. As for Yin Li and Long Lan Lan, Tang Ao didn't see them. After asking around, Tang Ao found out that Long Lan Lan and Yin Li had already left 3 months ago. Big brother, there's something I need to tell you. The great competition of the ruins of immortality that is held once every 1,000 years will be held in half a year's time. If Big Brother wants to participate in the great competition of the ruins of immortality, you need to obtain one of the top 10 geniuses of South Ruin City. Jin Shun naturally wouldn't have thought of this. Little brother Chun, are you in the top 10 geniuses? Tang Ao suddenly asked after hearing Jin Shen's words. Big brother, I'm 10th. Jin Shen scratched his head embarrassedly. Clearly, he thought that 10th was the last place, and it was a bit embarrassing. In fact, with Jin Shen's astral reaching realm 9th level cultivation, even the number 1 genius of the South Ruin City, Jun Wuhan, might not be his opponent. It was just that Jin Shen's father, Jin Wanchuan, had always told him to hide his strength, which was why Jin Shun had always been 10th. Who else is in the top 10? With Jin Shun participating in the great competition of the Immortal Ruins, it would be very easy to get a good ranking. As long as Jin Shun got a good ranking, Tang Ao and Su Shiro could use Jin Shen's quota to leave the Immortal Ruins and enter the Zhenwu Jie. However, Tang Ao knew that this kind of quota to enter the Zhenwu Jie was bound to be very valuable. With Tang Ao's strength, it would be easy for him to participate in such a competition and get a good ranking. With so many quotas, if he couldn't use them all, he could just sell them. Then he would buy some useful things. After tens of thousands of years of accumulation, the ruins of immortality also had some good things. Number 1 in our South Ruin City is City Lord Nan Huili's disciple, Jun Wuhan. Number 2 is Wang Lang, and number 3 is Yang Fan. Tang Ao didn't know who the top 10 geniuses were, but Jin Shun was more familiar with them. Big brother, if you want to challenge someone, I suggest you challenge Jiang Tao. Oh, Jiang Tao, who is ranked 9th, is the weakest? Tang Ao asked in confusion. No, this Jiang Tao's strength is not bad. Among the top 10 martial artists, his strength is about second to last. However, he is very cruel. Once he wins a battle, he will definitely dig out the opponent's heart. Many times, even if the opponent didn't provoke him, they would still be entangled by him. Once, a martial arts family somehow provoked him, and the hearts of more than 300 people in that martial arts family were all dug out by him. Chapter 2358. Brother Tang Ao, actually, you don't have to challenge Jiang Tao. Compared to him, Song Chu is a bit weaker. He is only at the 4th level of the astral reaching realm. If Brother Tang Ao only wants the right to participate in the great competition of Immortal Ruin, you can challenge Song Chu. Sushiro had also asked around about the top 10 warriors. Therefore, she knew that compared to Jiang Tao, this Song Chu was obviously weaker. No need. This kind of scourge, it's better to get rid of him. Tang Ao was very confident in his cultivation. Although Tang Ao was only at the 3rd level of the astral reaching realm, even if he were to face a 6th level astral reaching realm warrior, Tang Ao would not be afraid at all. Brother, if you want to challenge Jiang Tao, just go to the battling platform in the South Ruin City and write the challenge letter. In Jin Shen's opinion, this Jiang Tao could be killed with one punch. Although Tang Ao's cultivation was not as high as his, Tang Ao was his big brother. Taking on Jiang Tao would not be a problem at all. Nonsense. Brother Tang Ao is only at the 3rd level of the astral reaching realm, but Jiang Tao is a 5th level astral reaching realm warrior. You're at the peak of the 9th level of the astral reaching realm, so he is naturally not your opponent. But Brother Tang Ao will not have it easy against Jiang Tao. Plus, seeing that Jin Shan was still asking Tang Ao to take on Jiang Tao, Sushiro said a bit angrily. However, before Sushiro could finish, Tang Ao patted her head and said, "Don't worry, trust me." Then, Tang Ao said to Jin Shun, "Let's go, Brother Chun. Let's go to the battling platform and write the challenge letter." Tang Ao said as he walked out first. Jin Shin smiled at Su Shiro, then chased after Tang Ao. Wait, I will go as well. Su Shiro stomped her feet and chased after them. Su Shiro did not understand. Jin Shin was not a rational person, so he acted on impulse. However, why was Tang Ao the same as Jin Shin? He chose to challenge Jiang Tao instead of Song Chu. The South Ruin City's dueling arena wasn't far from the Nine Moon Pill Pavilion's location, so Tang Ao's group of 3 quickly arrived at the dueling arena registration area. At this moment, there were 2 martial artists fighting on the dueling platform. Tang Ao had seen one of these 2 martial artists before. It was Wang Lang, whom he had met in the Heavenly Fire Ruins. Wang Lang was the current number 2 genius martial practitioner of South Ruin City, and the person facing him was a cold youth wielding a golden spear. This young man had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His eyes were filled with hostility, and his entire body was filled with killing intent. He stood on the dueling platform and casually attacked, but Wang Lang was suppressed by him and forced to retreat step by step. Gee, is this the result of your 2 years of cultivation? Jun Wuhan sneered. Then, a bolt of lightning flashed through his eyes, and he abruptly swept the spear in his hand. A mist of blood exploded from Wang Lang's body, and half of his ribs were broken in an instant. This was because Jun Wuhan did not follow up with another attack. Otherwise, Wang Lang would have died in vain. After all, killing was allowed on the dueling platform. Bang! Wang Lang immediately took out a pill and swallowed it after he landed on the ground. Then, he said to Jun Wuhan, "Thank you for showing mercy, senior brother Wuhan. I didn't show mercy. The reason I did this was to teach you a lesson and warn others who want to challenge me. After all, my time is limited, and I can't accept so many challenges." After saying this, Jun Wuhan tossed a bottle of pills into Wang Lang's hand and walked to the side. Everyone wore complicated expressions when they saw Jun Wuhan's behavior. Chapter 2359. Interesting. Looking at Jun Wuhan's back, Tang Ao lightly spat out 2 words. When Tang Ao saw Jun Wuhan, it was as if he was looking at himself from his past life, invincible and lonely. "Song Chu, do you dare to battle me?" Right then, a teenager in blue robes flew onto the battling platform and yelled, "Is Brother Li Yunji?" I heard that he had already reached astral reaching realm level 5, which is 1 level higher than Brother Song Chu. Chi, how do you know that Brother Song Chu has not made any progress in the past half a year? Just wait and see. Moments after Li Yunji got onto the platform, a scholarly-looking teenager also walked onto the battling platform. Without even asking, Tang Ao knew that it should be Song Chu. However, it was different from what Tang Ao had expected. Right now, this Song Chu was not at astral reaching realm level 4 either, but level 5. The second Song Chu got onto the platform. A hint of surprise appeared in Li Yunji's eyes as well. "I did not expect you to have reached astral reaching realm level 5 as well. Great. This way, if you lose, it will not be me bullying you." After the initial surprise, Li Yunji said immediately, "Since you know that I am at astral reaching realm level 5, you still dare to challenge me?" Song Chu looked scholarly, but his movements were not at all elegant. After getting onto the platform, he started his attack immediately. Tang Ao could tell that the 2 were about the same level of power. However, Song Chu had obviously taken longer to reach astral reaching realm level 5. Therefore, when facing Li Yunji, Song Chu had been using the advantage of his condensed Jun Yuan to suppress Li Yunji. This battle was nothing special in Tang Ao's eyes, but the people around him were cheering. Before, the battle between Jun Wuhan and Wang Lang was completely one-sided. Jun Wuhan casually threw out 3 spear attacks, and Wang Lang had been defeated. However, right now, Li Yunji and Song Chu had barely reached the level of being evenly matched. This kind of battle was what everyone wanted to see the most. Even below the platform, bets had already been opened. Between Li Yunji and Song Chu, who would win? "Little brother Chun, who do you think will win?" Tang Ao asked Jin Chun with great interest. Song Chu's odds are 4 times, while Li Yunji's odds are 6 times. Song Chu should win, Jinshin scratched his head and said while looking at the odds. Tang Ao shook his head. You see, Li Yunji has been suppressed by Song Chu since the beginning of the battle, but Li Yunji's expression hasn't changed at all. Furthermore, after being suppressed for so long, it was clear that he still had a backup plan. Therefore, Li Yunji has at least a 90% chance of winning this match. Tang Ao said as he took out a handful of immortal crystals and directly bought 50 sets of Li Yunji's victory. The martial artist in charge of the betting stared at Tang Ao in astonishment. Even if a normal martial artist wanted to try their luck, they would only dare to bet 1 or 2 points on Li Yunji's victory. However, no one knew if Tang Ao was stupid or had too much money, but he actually bet 50 points on Li Yunji's victory. How is this a bet? He was clearly here to give away his money. However, the banker liked people like Tang Ao the most, because no matter who won or lost, the banker would take half of the profits. For example, Tang Ao had spent 100 immortal crystals to buy 50 sets of immortal crystals. If Li Yunji won, then Tang Ao would receive 600 low-grade immortal crystals. Of course, these 600 low-grade immortal crystals had to be subtracted from the 5% processing fee. In the end, Tang Ao would receive 570 immortal crystals. And if Li Yunji lost, then Tang Ao would not even have a single immortal crystal. Chapter 2360. After the three-headed flood dragon life soul appeared, it immediately swept across the arena. Under the three-headed flood dragon life soul, Song Chu was forced to retreat. Song Chu's eyes were filled with unwillingness and disbelief. Song Chu really couldn't understand how he could awaken such a powerful life soul. Li Yunji had only broken through to astral reaching realm level 5 months ago. No matter how unwilling he was, Song Chu was still swept off the dueling platform by Li Yunji's powerful three-headed flood dragon. Just now, Li Yunji had endured the humiliation and only defended without attacking because he wanted to exhaust Song Chu's immortal spiritual energy. Once Song Chu's celestial spiritual energy was depleted to a certain extent, he would strike once and for all. Despicable! Song Chu spat out a mouthful of blood as he looked at Li Yunji on the dueling platform, gnashing his teeth. The dueling platform only determines who wins and who loses. How is this despicable? Li Yunji cast a cold glance at Song Chu, a look of wild joy in his eyes. The grand competition of the Ruins of Immortality would be held in half a year. At the last moment, he had finally obtained the admission ticket to the grand competition of the Ruins of Immortality. Even if there were bound to be other martial practitioners who would challenge him in the future, the number of experts in South Ruin City was limited. As long as he was careful, his ticket wouldn't be taken away so easily. Li Yunji has successfully challenged Song Chu. Song Chu has lost his title as the 10th genius of South Ruin City and has been replaced by Li Yunji. In addition, Li Yunji doesn't have to accept any challenges for the next 3 months. After the battle between Li Yunji and Song Chu ended, the gray-robed elder in charge of the dueling platform calmly said. Hearing the gray-robed old man's words, everyone secretly envied Li Yunji and pitted Song Chu's bad luck at the same time. There was still half a year left before the grand competition of the Immortal Ruin. However, Song Chu had lost the qualification to participate in the grand competition of the Immortal Ruin. However, the crowd did not lament for too long before they were immediately stunned by the next piece of news. Tang Ao challenges the 9th genius, Jiang Tao. Jiang Tao has accepted the challenge, and it will begin in 1 day. This news instantly caused an uproar in the crowd. Among the top 10 geniuses of South Ruin City, the most famous one wasn't Jun Wuhan, who was ranked first, but Jiang Tao. Jiang Tao was infamous not just in South Ruin City, but even in North Ruin City as well. Once the cultivators who fought with Jiang Tao were defeated, only death awaited them. Furthermore, their deaths would be extremely miserable. Even their hearts would be dug out. It was also because of this that no one dared to challenge Jiang Tao without absolute confidence. But now, someone had taken the initiative to challenge Jiang Tao, and Jiang Tao had accepted the challenge. Everyone wanted to see who this Tang Ao was. Normally speaking, as long as a martial practitioner possessed a platinum rank identity token, no matter how low profile they kept in South Ruin City, it was impossible for no one to recognize them. However, this Tang Ao was truly unknown to everyone. After asking around, they found out that the current 9 Moons Pill Housemaster was called Tang Ao. However, no one believed that the 9 Moon Elixir Pavilion's Tang Ao and the cultivator who challenged Jiang Tao were the same person. However, right at this moment, a bloody figure suddenly appeared on the dueling platform. There was even a trace of blood at the corner of his lips. Seeing this person, everyone's heart trembled. South Ruin City's 9th genius, Jiang Tao. Soon, everyone noticed that Jiang Tao was looking in a certain direction. The martial practitioners in that direction felt a chill run through their bodies as they subconsciously retreated. Very soon, the figures of Tang Ao and the other 2 were revealed. Jin Chen's face was expressionless. He did not know why these people were so afraid of Jiang Tao. If it wasn't for the fact that his father did not allow it, Jin Chen would have made Jiang Tao call him daddy with a single punch. Chapter 2361. Tang Ao did not even look at Jiang Tao. Instead, he looked at the martial artist who was in charge of the betting. What are my odds? This martial artist's courage was almost broken by Jiang Tao. After Tang Ao asked the question, he trembled for a long time before saying, "Pill Master Tang Ao, the odds between you and senior apprentice brother Jiang Tao is 50-1. So much." Tang Ao's face lit up. Tang Ao did not expect that the battle arena would be so pessimistic about him, giving out odds of 50-1. Tang Ao felt that if there were too many people betting on him to win, then the battle arena would immediately go bankrupt. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao threw a storage ring over. "There are 10,000 low-grade immortal crystals in here. Bet all on me," Tang Ao said and left. Tang Ao did not put Jiang Tao in his eyes at all. In Tang Ao's opinion, although Jiang Tao was also at the 5th level of astral reaching realm, the density of his spiritual energy was even worse than Song Chu's. Clearly, he had cultivated an evil martial art and walked a crooked path. Although this kind of martial artist looked very powerful at a certain stage, his achievements in the martial Tao were limited. Until Tang Ao and the other 2 left the battle arena, the crowd could not believe that 9 Moons Pill Pavilion's Tang Ao dared to challenge Jiang Tao. However, many people secretly guessed that Tang Ao was relying on his identity as a first-grade king-grade immortal pill master, so Jiang Tao did not dare to kill him. Regarding this, the crowd could only say that Tang Ao was thinking too much. One should know that Jiang Tao was originally a martial artist of the North Ruin City. It was because he killed the son of the North Ruin City Lord, Beigongju, that he escaped to the South Ruin City. Such a ruthless person would not care about Tang Ao's identity at all. Therefore, Tang Ao's fate could be predicted. At this moment, many people were feeling sorry for him, hoping that Tang Ao would admit defeat on the stage tomorrow. This way, the South Ruin City would have a first-grade king-grade immortal pill master. The news of Tang Ao challenging Jiang Tao instantly spread throughout the city. After learning that Tang Ao was going to challenge Jiang Tao, many people went to greet Tang Ao. He tried to persuade Tang Ao not to let his emotions affect his decisions and to immediately admit defeat on the dueling platform tomorrow. At first, Tang Ao received a few people, and they all nodded in agreement. In the end, there were simply too many people, so Tang Ao decided to deactivate the 9 Moons Elixir House's array formation. Ignoring the crowd outside, Zhang Xian turned his attention to the green rock cauldron in the room. In the Myriad Treasure Tower, Jin Shun was hurriedly called back by Jin Wanchuan. "Chen now that things have come to this, there's no turning back. During the battle between Tang Ao and Jiang Tao tomorrow, you must be ready to make a move at any time. Once your big brother Tang Ao is in danger, you must immediately make a move to save him. If you have no other choice, you can even make a move to kill Jiang Tao." The same thing was happening in the mayor's residence. Traceless. Tang Ao is the first king-grade immortal pill master in the history of South Ruin City. You must be present for the battle tomorrow. If Tang Ao is in danger, immediately make a move to kill Jiang Tao. In a secret room of the Fong family in the southern city, Fong Hantian looked at his beloved daughter and said, Han Rui, take this Tier 3 defense talisman. Tomorrow, when Alchemist Tang Ao and Jiang Tao fight, you will receive it. If Pill Master Tang Ao is in danger, shatter the armor talisman and help Pill Master Tang Ao deal a fatal blow. Given Jiang Tao's abilities, he won't be able to break this armor talisman. As for Alchemist Tang Ao, he owes our Fong family a huge favor. Chapter 2362. Sigh. My daughter, this is where you're lacking. There are at least 80 forces in South Ruin City that want to befriend Tang Ao. If Tang Ao is in danger tomorrow, someone will definitely appear to kill Jiang Tao. The reason I gave you the armor talisman is so that you can block a fatal blow for Pill Master Tang Ao before anyone else does. That way, Pill Master Tang Ao will be so grateful to you that he might even become your Dao partner. Fong Hantian stroked his beard as his eyes shone brightly. Fong Hantian had wanted to get closer to Tang Ao a long time ago, but he never had the chance to. Now, his chance had finally come. Father, Fong Hanrui wanted to say something, but Fong Hantian cut her off with a wave of his hand. Hanrui, there's no need for the ruins of immortality in Langya Realm. Our Fong family has operated in the ruins of immortality for thousands of years, and the competition in Langya Realm is even fiercer. As a first-rank king-level pill master, Tang Ao's usefulness in the ruins of immortality is limited, but he'll shine the moment he's in Langya Realm. Of course, Tang Ao didn't know that he'd become an important target of protection in a single night. Tang Ao wasn't as nervous about his battle with Jiang Tao as the outside world imagined. After arriving at the ruins of immortality, Tang Ao had been cultivating all the time and hadn't fought many times. However, Tang Ao's strength had increased to a terrifying level. Tang Ao was eager to test his strength through a battle. After meditating for an entire night, Tang Ao slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Then, he prepared to head to South Ruin City's duel arena. The moment he walked out of the cultivation room, Sushiro immediately passed a talisman to Tang Ao. A fourth-rank Vajra talisman. Tang Ao was slightly moved. This talisman could block a full-powered attack from an early Yin-Yang realm martial practitioner. When he saw Sushiro's pale face, Tang Ao raised his hand to pat her head, but Sushiro dodged it. However, Sushiro dodged and said, "It's all your fault for being so impulsive. Otherwise, I would have needed to consume my blood essence to extract such a high-grade talisman from the Heavenly Dao Talisman." Although Sushiro said that, she was happy that she could help Tang Ao. Soon, Tang Ao and the other two arrived at the dueling platform. After a night of fermenting, there was almost no one in South Ruin City who didn't know about Tang Ao and Jiang Tao's duel today. South Ruin City's dueling arenas were usually very empty, but today they were packed to the brim. When Fong Hantian saw Tang Ao, he clapped his hands immediately. At the same time, he secretly praised, "Not bad, not bad." Even when facing an opponent like Jiang Tao, he is still calm and fearless. This kid is extraordinary. Beside Fong Hantian, Fong Hanrui was extremely speechless when she heard her father's words. Jiang Tao might be infamous, but among the top 10 experts of South Ruin City, the 8 people who were ranked above him weren't afraid of him at all. On the dueling platform, Jiang Tao's eyes were filled with bloodlust. Seeing Tang Ao arrive, Jiang Tao even licked his lips. Tang Ao's figure flashed and appeared on the dueling platform. At this moment, his astral-reaching realm 3rd-level cultivation was completely revealed. Seeing that Tang Ao was really only at the astral-reaching realm 3rd level, many people were secretly disappointed. Chapter 2363. The gray-robed elder was not a martial practitioner of South Ruin City, but a member of the Ruins of Immortality Elder Council. He had received an order from Li Yu-jun yesterday to protect Tang Ao. Therefore, the gray-robed elder had no choice but to ask Tang Ao if he still wanted to fight before the battle began. Hearing the gray-robed elder's words, the surrounding crowd was stunned. The gray-robed elder's coldness was common knowledge among all martial practitioners of South Ruin City. No matter who stepped onto the stage, the gray-robed elder would always start the battle coldly. However, this time, the gray-robed elder actually asked Tang Ao if he had thought it through. Even Fong Hongtian's eyes narrowed as he cursed inwardly. This old thing is abusing his power for personal gain. Fong Hanrui was speechless. She really couldn't understand why her father would value Tang Ao so much. Tang Ao was only a first-grade immortal pill master after all. Even though Tang Ao had concocted a king-grade immortal pill, Tang Ao was still a first-grade immortal pill master. It was just that Tang Ao was more powerful than other first-grade immortal pill masters. This was Fong Hanrui's evaluation of Tang Ao. In Fong Hanrui's opinion, first-grade immortal pills were powerful, but their effects were limited. They were only useful for martial practitioners below the third level of astral reaching realm. Beyond the third level, the effects of first-grade immortal pills were somewhat limited. Hanrui, come here. Just as Fong Hanrui was wondering why Tang Ao was so popular, she suddenly saw a girl in a blue dress waving at her. Seeing that it was Lan Yuling, who was also ranked 5th among the top 10 geniuses of South Ruin City, Fong Hanrui hurried over. Sister Yuling, what's wrong? Fong Hanrui asked in confusion. Bang! Before Lan Yuling could say anything, she raised her hand and punched a thick tree beside her in half. Then, she said angrily to Fong Hanrui, after today, I will definitely teach this Tang Ao a lesson. Big Sister Yuling, how did he offend you? Fong Hanrui didn't expect that even Lan Yuling had a relationship with Tang Ao. After hearing Lan Yuling's complaints, Fong Hanrui immediately understood that Lan Yuling had encountered the same thing as her. However, Fong Hanrui had always been obedient to Fong Hongtian. However, Lan Yuling was a hot-tempered girl. When the Lan family asked Lan Yuling to protect Tang Ao, she was naturally unwilling. Although Lan Yuling was unwilling, under the persuasion of the people from the Lan clan, Lan Yuling could not help but agree in the end. However, Lan Yuling also hated Tang Ao in her heart. After today's matter was over, she would make Tang Ao suffer. On the dueling platform, Tang Ao had no idea that he had unknowingly offended someone again. At this moment, Tang Ao only wanted to have a good fight with Jiang Tao. He wanted to see just how strong he had become. Humph! You overestimate yourself. Today, I will let you know the terror of a 5th-level astral reaching expert. Seeing that Tang Ao did not admit defeat, a bloodthirsty smile flashed through Jiang Tao's eyes. However, Jiang Tao's body shook, and a wave of frightening spirit power instantly exploded. He was about to attack Tang Ao. Come at me. The Green Lotus Sword Soul instantly condensed behind Tang Ao. Right now, Tang Ao's 7 killing divine, Dao, had already deduced the 5th sword. Tang Ao also wanted to see how many swords this Jiang Tao could take. Chapter 2364. However, before Jiang Tao could finish his sentence, the ground he was standing on shook violently. An old man in the crowd also released a gray light under his feet. He seemed to be controlling the arena. Tang Ao's side was calm, but Jiang Tao found it hard to even stand. Jiang Tao didn't know what was going on. He could only fly in midair. This time, there was no invisible mountain in midair. Instead, an incomparably sharp storm appeared. Jiang Tao tried his best to defend, but there were still many wind blades that penetrated his defense and landed on his body. Jiang Tao was furious. Tang Ao, I'm going to kill you. This time, Jiang Tao ignored the wind blades and charged towards Tang Ao. Along the way, Tang Ao saw Jiang Tao being brought down by the wind blades. He was in a miserable state. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao was secretly shocked. He didn't know what kind of deep hatred Jiang Tao had for him to want to kill him even in such a situation. Junior Jiang Tao, why don't we fight next time? Tang Ao could naturally see that there were experts helping him in the dark. Even Jin Wanchuan made a move. That invisible mountain at the start was obviously Jin Wanchuan's doing. Roar! If I don't kill you today, I'm not a human. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Jiang Tao was enraged. Jiang Tao was extremely sullen. From the start until now, there had been people interfering with his battle with Tang Ao. Originally, a defensive boundary had to be opened for a battle like this. But now, the gray-robed old man in charge of the arena seemed to have completely forgotten that there was a defensive boundary on the arena. Blood Spear. Jiang Tao realized that as long as he stayed close to Tang Ao, he would be affected in various ways. This time, Jiang Tao decided not to go near Tang Ao. He used the Blood Spear to kill Tang Ao from afar. In an instant, surging blood qi surged in Jiang Tao's body. 3 blood meridians instantly appeared on Jiang Tao's body. Ha, Jiang Tao kid, good job. Daughter, here's your chance. On the seats of the Lan clan, the head of the Lan clan let out a shout and immediately pushed Lan Yuling towards the battle arena with his palm. Old man Lan is so shameless. Han Rue, father will lend you a hand. Fong Hong Tian said, as his peak astral reaching realm cultivation base appeared. He also pushed out his palm, and before Fong Hanrui could react, her body had already been sent flying towards the battling platform. When Tang Ao saw Jiang Tao's bloodline, he was about to shatter it. However, before Tang Ao could make a move, several figures appeared in front of Tang Ao. 2 of the blood meridians were blocked by Fong Hanrui and Lan Yuling with their shield talismans, while the other one was shattered by Jun Wuhan's spear. TSK. Jiang Tao, you actually dared to launch a lethal attack in a battle between cultivators from the same city. I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of the city governor today. Right at this moment, an old man with white hair and beard rose up from the ground, and he smashed his palm down at Jiang Tao. Old ignorant Wu, shameless Wu, how dare you? Fong Hong Tian and the head of the Lan family were shaking with anger. They had thought that they were shameless enough. But now, the 2 of them knew that there was always someone better out there. The Wu family did not have a daughter, and they only had one son, who was not even strong enough. Originally, this kind of thing had nothing to do with the Wu family. But now, Wu Qi had actually attacked Jiang Tao directly. Jiang Tao was scared out of his wits by the scene in front of him. He felt that the entire South Ruined City was filled with evil intentions towards him. Just as Jiang Tao was hesitating, the voice of the elder in gray robes was suddenly heard. Ahem, Jiang Tao, you are not an opponent of alchemist Tang Ao. Hurry up and surrender. Hearing this, Jiang Tao felt that it was hard to breathe. After puking out a mouthful of blood, he fainted immediately. Jiang Tao's last thought before fainting was, this is too much. As Jiang Tao fainted, martial artists quickly came up to carry him off the platform. Then the elder in gray robes cleared his throat and said, Tang Ao has successfully challenged Jiang Tao and is now the 9th genius of the South Ruined City. Tang Ao looked at Jiang Tao, who was being carried off the platform, and was completely dumbfounded. Originally, Tang Ao was prepared to show off his skills today, but Tang Ao did not expect such a thing to happen. This caused Tang Ao to feel powerless, as if he could clearly rely on his strength to make a living, but he chose to rely on his talent. Elder, this is not fair. Jiang Tao, who was being carried off the stage, woke up at this time. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Jiang Tao felt for the first time that sometimes his opponents were kinder than the audience. Chapter 2365. The duel between Tang Ao and Jiang Tao had been full of surprises from start to finish. No one knew that Tang Ao would challenge Jiang Tao, or that Jiang Tao would lose in such a way. But no matter what, the matter had finally come to an end. Tang Ao had successfully challenged Jiang Tao, obtained the title of ninth place in South Ruin City, and obtained a ticket to participate in the grand competition of the Ruins of Immortality half a year later. Although Tang Ao's current strength was extraordinary compared to Jun Wuhin and the others, Tang Ao's cultivation was too far behind. But now that he was in the Ruins of Immortality, because of the 9 Dragons' Emperor Jade body, Tang Ao's cultivation progressed at a tremendous pace. However, Tang Ao encountered an unavoidable problem with the 9 Dragons' Emperor Jade body. As his cultivation increased, the 9 Dragons' Emperor Jade body consumed a terrifying amount of resources. Although Tang Ao had been refining pills in the 9 Moons Elixir House, the number of immortal crystals in the Ruins of Immortality was limited. Therefore, most martial practitioners paid with contribution points instead of immortal crystals. Even though Tang Ao had specially advertised a 30% discount for paying with immortal crystals, there were still not many martial practitioners who paid with immortal crystals. The Ruins of Immortality produced a limited amount of immortal crystals. Most of the immortal crystals were transported over from Langya Realm. Moreover, these low-grade immortal crystals were not truly low-grade immortal crystals. They were just scraps of low-grade immortal crystals. Tang Ao had learned of this from Jin Wanchuan. After learning this, Tang Ao's desire to go to Langya Realm increased. Fortunately, the grand competition of the Ruins of Immortality was around the corner. Therefore, Tang Ao could go to Langya Realm in half a year. Langya Realm was the true martial realm. The laws of heaven and earth in Langya Realm were more complete than those in the Ruins of Immortality. The spirit energy of heaven and earth in Langya Realm was denser than in the Ruins of Immortality. Many immortal spirit herbs that could not be found in the Ruins of Immortality could be found in Langya Realm. The cultivation conditions in Langya Realm were better, but the competition there was also greater. However, Tang Ao didn't have to worry about the Langya world now. If he wanted to go to the Langya world, he had to obtain a high ranking in the grand competition of the Ruins of Immortality. In Tang Ao's cultivation room, the green rock pill furnace's seal had already been broken by Tang Ao using the green rock pill, revealing the original appearance of the Xiantian Chaos Origin Cauldron. The Xiantian Chaotic Origin Cauldron was a divine artifact for refining weapons. It could increase the success rate of refining weapons, and it could even turn a Hotian divine artifact into a Xian divine artifact. The Khanate Primordial Chaos Cauldron had a total of 9 layers of restrictions. Even with Tang Ao's cultivation, he could only refine 1 layer of restrictions. However, after refining the first layer of restrictions, Tang Ao discovered that the success rate of using the innate Chaos Cauldron to execute the art of spiritual refinement immediately increased by 10%. This discovery pleasantly surprised Tang Ao. If he could refine all 9 layers of restrictions on the innate Chaos Cauldron, wouldn't he have a 90% success rate when using the innate Chaos Cauldron to execute the art of spiritual refinement in the future? A 90% success rate was a terrifying thing. If the innate Chaos Cauldron's art of spiritual refinement could reach a 90% success rate, who knew how many divine artifacts Tang Ao could forge? The battle between Tang Ao and Jiang Tao didn't cause much of a stir in South Ruin City. Anyone with a brain knew that everyone wanted Jiang Tao to lose. Jiang Tao didn't lose to Tang Ao, he lost to the general trend. The hearts of the people, the general trend, Jiang Tao had no choice but to lose. The battle between Jiang Tao and Tang Ao passed very quickly. Right now, the most popular topic in South Ruin City was the Ruins of Immortality auction that was going to be held in 3 months. Chapter 2366. Of course, the immortal ruins where the Chamber of Commerce started its business wasn't the one where Tang Ao was currently located. The Langya realm was divided into 5 regions. Apart from the Grand Heaven Domain in the center, the other 4 regions were made up of countless continents. The Chamber of Commerce in the Ruins of Immortality basically had branches in all the continents of the Langya realm. They even had branches in places like the ruins of immortality. One could imagine how huge the Chamber of Commerce was. It was said that the current realm lord of the Langya realm was a half-step Dao master. However, the Chamber of Commerce had a Dao master expert, and it seemed that the expert wasn't just a Dao master. Therefore, even the lord of the Langya realm had to be courteous to the Chamber of Commerce. Although the Chamber of Commerce was developing rapidly and had amazing strength, it had never thought of replacing the realm lord. Instead, it had tried to befriend the Langya realm lord and use the Langya realm as a springboard to expand to the surrounding martial realms. Now, many branches of the Chamber of Commerce had sprung up in the 3 martial realms adjacent to the Langya realm. Having a branch in the Immortal Ruins was a blessing to all the warriors in the Immortal Ruins. However, the auction of the Immortal Ruins only opened once every 100 years. 3 months later was the 100-year opening date. Although the items in the auction of the Immortal Ruins were carefully selected by the people of the Langya realm, there are also good things in the auction of the Immortal Ruins. At the auction of the Immortal Ruins 600 years ago, a warrior bought a broken sword. No one could tell what it was, but it was extremely expensive. The warrior was rich and overbearing, so he bought the broken sword. After refining it, he found out that the broken sword was a famous Khanate artifact remnant Imperial Palace. The Khanate artifact remnant Imperial Palace was originally a broken sword. Therefore, although it looked like a broken sword, it was actually a complete Khanate artifact. Although the Chamber of Commerce was extremely regretful, it didn't recover the broken sword. It even made a bold claim that if the owner of the broken sword got into trouble because of the broken sword, the Chamber of Commerce would help once. Seeing this, Tang Ao put down the jade slip that introduced the auction of the Immortal Ruins. Although the probability of something like the broken sword happening was not high, there was no doubt that it would be able to get something good from the auction of the Immortal Ruins. 3 months, huh? Tang Ao murmured. Tang Ao decided to go to the auction of the Immortal Ruins. Moreover, he could get rid of the things that Tang Ao didn't need during the auction of the Immortal Ruins. At that very moment, Tang Ao had many low-grade immortal artifacts on him. All of them had been forged by Tang Ao's spirit forging thrice. With Tang Ao's current ability, it would be very difficult for him to increase the number of times he could forge the immortal artifacts, even with the help of the Xiantian Primordial Cauldron. However, Tang Ao still decided to use the Xiantian Primordial Cauldron to forge all the immortal artifacts once before auctioning them off in the ruins of immortality. Tang Ao might not be interested in these immortal weapons, but at least in the ruins of immortality, these immortal weapons were considered treasures. Chapter 2367. However, while contribution points were useful in South Ruin City, they were useless in the ruins of Immortality Auction. The ruins of Immortality Auction only accepted immortal crystals. If one didn't have enough immortal crystals on hand, they could either auction their treasures or sell their items directly to the ruins of Immortality Auction. Normally speaking, selling an item directly to the ruins of Immortality Auction would fetch a slightly lower price. Therefore, most martial practitioners would choose to auction their items. Dong dong dong. At this moment, someone knocked on Tang Ao's door. Tang Ao scanned the room with his soul remembrance and discovered that it was Su Shiro. Tang Ao immediately removed the restriction with a wave of his hand. "Junior sister Su, what's the matter?" "This is for you," Su Shiro said as she handed over a jade slip. "What's this?" Tang Ao took the jade slip and asked casually. "You'll know once you open it." Su Shiro didn't tell him directly. Instead, she kept him in suspense. Tang Ao smiled casually and opened the jade slip. After opening the jade slip, Tang Ao's face lit up with joy. Tang Ao was just thinking about how to get a list of the ruins of Immortality Auction, but Tang Ao didn't expect Su Shiro to get it so quickly. "Junior sister Su, where did you get this jade slip?" Tang Ao had been paying attention to the ruins of Immortality Auction for the past few days. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that although a part of the auction list had been leaked, he didn't know where it was or who had it. "I'm not telling you," Sushiro said as she turned around and left, leaving a puzzled Tang Ao behind. Seeing Sushiro's expression, Tang Ao smiled bitterly. Tang Ao only needed a glance to know that the jade slip was real. Moreover, Tang Ao also knew that the jade slip only contained part of the auction items. However, the Ruins of Immortality auction had always been special. Before other auctions, the auction list was available to almost everyone. However, the auction of the Ruins of Immortality was different. It was very difficult to obtain the auction list. At least until now, Tang Ao had no idea how the auction list was obtained. At the same time, Tang Ao was also a little curious as to how Sushiro managed to get her hands on an auction list. As a matter of fact, it was difficult to obtain the list of the Ruins of Immortality auction. However, if one's item was valuable enough, it would not be difficult to obtain the list. Sushiro had put up 100 high-quality, third-grade immortal talismans for auction, which was why she had obtained the auction list of the Ruins of Immortality. However, this kind of auction list was not available to everyone. There were only 10 spots. In other words, if the value of the item you put up for auction was high enough and you put it up for auction in a timely manner, you would be able to obtain the auction list of the Ruins of Immortality. Tang Ao did not ask how Sushiro had obtained the auction list. He opened it and read it carefully. There were a total of 300 items on this list. If possible, Tang Ao wanted all 300 items. However, Tang Ao knew that it would not be easy for him to get 10 items, let alone 300 items. The Ruins of Immortality auction only accepted immortal crystals. Tang Ao did not even have 1,000 immortal crystals on him right now. The cheapest item on the list was priced at 10,000 immortal crystals. Of course, these 300 items were only representative items that were brought out in advance. None of the final treasures of the auction were on the list. Chapter 2368. The second item that caught Tang Ao's eye wasn't simple either. It was a black stone brick. This stone brick seemed to be a part of a mural. Unfortunately, this was the only stone brick that was being sold, so the mural wasn't complete. However, Tang Ao could vaguely determine that there should be 3 such bricks. The reason why this black stone brick attracted Tang Ao was because there was a red bead on the mural. Others might not know what this bead was, but Tang Ao was very clear about it. Tang Ao could even confirm that the mural depicted the primal fire elemental bead. The primal fire elemental bead was a treasure that could allow the nether flame to advance to a grade 6 immortal fire. It was extremely rare. This stone brick could possibly record the location of the primal fire elemental bead. Even if that wasn't the case, this stone brick and the primal fire elemental bead were definitely closely related. Therefore, Tang Ao had to think of a way to get his hands on the purple cloud sweet dew and this black stone brick. As for the other items, Tang Ao looked around. Although they weren't bad, there wasn't anything that Tang Ao really wanted. Of course, if the price was right, Tang Ao would also choose a few items to bid for. After looking through the auction list, Tang Ao put it away. After putting away the auction list, Tang Ao adjusted his state of mind. Then he took out the 9-colored sky fire crystal and the glazed flame amber. Now, Tang Ao could finally advance his nether flame to a grade 3 immortal fire. With a thought, the nether flame flew out of Tang Ao's body and floated above Tang Ao's body, burning slowly. Very quickly, after sensing the 9-colored sky fire crystal and the glazed flame amber, the nether flame actually trembled in excitement. However, it didn't seem to know how to choose, so it kept hesitating on what to devour first. Seeing this appearance, Tang Ao knew that his netherworld flame was about to evolve into a fire spirit. When the Black Crow Demonic Flame's fire spirit was born, time was tight, so the mysterious woman didn't let the Black Crow Demonic Flame swallow his flame source. But if Tang Ao's netherworld flame evolved into a fire spirit, Tang Ao would definitely let it absorb his flame source. With a faint smile, Tang Ao threw the 9-color heaven fire crystal into the netherworld flame. The netherworld flame let out a happy cheer before it began to refine the 9-colored heaven flame crystal. As the netherworld flame refined the 9-colored heaven fire crystal, the originally purple netherworld flame turned into a deep purple, even turning into a dark purple color. Once the netherworld flame turned purple-black, it would become the legendary immortal netherworld flame. But before it evolved into the immortal netherworld flame, the deep purple netherworld flame would only become purple-black. This time, it was very easy for the netherworld flame to devour the 9-colored heaven fire crystal. An hour later, the netherworld flame's aura changed, and the aura of a grade 1 immortal fire instantly filled the entire cultivation room. Little Flame, who was sleeping at the side, also opened his eyes at this moment. Seemingly noticing that Little Flame had opened his eyes, the netherworld flame actually flew towards Little Flame, seemingly showing off as it flew one round around Little Flame. However, Little Flame didn't seem to notice the netherworld flame's dazzling display. After a yawn, Little Flame continued to sleep. But at this moment, the netherworld flame moved closer to Little Flame, full of provocation. At this moment, Little Flame seemed to be a little impatient. With a snap of his fingers, a 6-colored flame appeared on Little Flame's claws. Chapter 2369. Little Flame proudly looked at the netherworld flame and then sucked it in with its little mouth, directly swallowing the 6-colored flame into its stomach. It even let out a proper burp. Tang Ao shook his head helplessly when he saw Little Flame's appearance. Tang Ao had gained a lot from this trip to the Heavenly Fire Ruins, but Little Flame had also gained a lot. After communicating with Little Flame, Tang Ao learned that Little Flame had found a barrier in the depths of the lava pool. There was a fiery plaza inside the barrier. There were 23 strange flames in the fiery plaza. Little Flame had devoured all of them. After devouring all of them, Little Flame had condensed the 6-colored flame from before. Tang Ao sensed for a moment and discovered that the 6-colored flame Little Flame had summoned had reached the level of a grade 6 immortal flame. However, Little Flame couldn't summon this grade 6 immortal flame for a long period of time. It had only been summoned for 10 breaths, but Tang Ao already felt waves of weakness coming from Little Flame's body. After Little Flame withdrew the 6-colored flame, it immediately laid down lazily to the side and slept again. The strange flames Little Flame had swallowed not long ago hadn't been completely absorbed and refined yet. After seeing Little Flame lie down, the nether flame floated in front of Tang Ao again. This time, there was no need for Tang Ao's help. The nether flame wrapped around the glazed flame amber and began refining it. The nether flame only took an hour to refine the 9-colored heavenly fire crystal, but it was extremely slow when refining the glazed flame amber. Although it was slow, it was still refining. After seeing that the nether flame could refine the glazed flame amber, Tang Ao made a few hand seals. Then, a door between the void and reality slowly opened behind Tang Ao. When this void door opened, the hearts of every South Ruins city marshal practitioner who had awakened a life soul related to the netherworld shuddered. The nether life soul in their bodies trembled as if it had seen the nether monarch. In an instant, countless people looked around, but they didn't find anything. Inside the cultivation room, Tang Ao sat quietly with his legs crossed. At this moment, Tang Ao's soul thought had entered the nether realm through the door. Tang Ao had awakened a nether life soul for a long time, but this was the first time Tang Ao had entered the nether realm as a soul. When Tang Ao's soul entered the nether realm, many souls immediately floated toward Tang Ao. However, these souls couldn't get close to Tang Ao. When they were within 3,000 feet of Tang Ao, they immediately trembled and didn't dare move an inch. Tang Ao also noticed that there was a huge rune floating under his soul. This rune was glowing with purple light, and it covered a radius of 1,000 feet. The entire netherworld is pitch black and gloomy, but when Tang Ao enters, it is like a bright lamp that attracts countless souls. But these souls, whether they were human or foreign race martial artists, or even some beast souls, none of them could come within 1,000 feet of Tang Ao. At this time, Tang Ao suddenly felt a strange fluctuation. It was as if something was staring at him. Tang Ao raised his head. It was like a huge mountain. Is this a mountain of the Nether Realm? Tang Ao didn't know much about the Nether Realm, but the black shadow in front of him seemed to be a mountain of the Nether Realm to Tang Ao. As Tang Ao approached, the enormous rune on Tang Ao's body moved along with Tang Ao. In an instant, the light of the rune illuminated the surrounding area. After it was illuminated, Tang Ao couldn't help but gasp. Chapter 2370. But neither the one summoned by Ming Di nor Tang Ao was as big as this claw. When Ming Di summoned it, it was thousands of feet long. When Tang Ao summoned it, it was only a few hundred feet long. But now, Tang Ao saw that this unknown nether beast claw was tens of thousands of feet tall and tens of thousands of feet long. Tang Ao was so shocked that he couldn't speak. This nether beast that seemed to have come from the Nine Hells was in a deep sleep. Although it was in a deep sleep, its terrifying aura still swept through the surroundings. There were very few strong souls within a 10,000-mile radius of this nether beast. As for those weak souls, they only appeared around the nether beast because the nether beast had completely ignored their existence. Tang Ao's arrival caused the nether beast's claw to move slightly. But after just a slight movement, the nether beast no longer had any reaction. Tang Ao had a vague feeling that one day he would be able to summon this terrifying nether beast in its entirety. Moreover, Tang Ao felt that this ancient nether beast's strength had probably surpassed the Dao Master realm. Although this ancient nether beast did not actively release its aura, Tang Ao could feel the surging power within its body. When Tang Ao sensed this ancient nether beast, Tang Ao even received a thought. Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat. This ancient nether beast was actually yearning to awaken. The reason why this ancient nether beast was in a deep sleep was firstly because it was injured, and secondly because Tang Ao was too weak. After it awakened, Tang Ao would not be able to withstand the contract power of the underworld life soul. While Tang Ao was secretly shocked, he nodded deeply at the void in the distance. That seemed to be where the head of the ancient nether beast was. After Tang Ao nodded, a crack slowly appeared in the void. A vertical eye glanced at Tang Ao, then closed in exhaustion. After leaving the nether beast's area, Tang Ao saw many wandering Een soldiers. These Een soldiers didn't have any consciousness. They hunted and devoured souls in the netherworld. With a thought from Tang Ao, a Een soldier immediately came under Tang Ao's control. After Tang Ao took control of this Een soldier, the Een soldier's deathly still eyes suddenly lit up with soul flames. This general kowtows in salute to Emperor Hades. As the ghost soldier spoke, he knelt down on one knee with a respectful expression. Tang Ao was very satisfied as he sized up this ghost soldier. This ghost soldier was wearing a pitch-black armor that was covered with runes. He seemed to be a warrior from ancient times. When Tang Ao used his sky polarity eyes to look, he found that the body of the ghost soldier had almost merged with his armor. His entire body was covered in pitch-black armor, and even his body was as black as ink. Streaks of Een underworld aura emanated from him, making him look sinister and domineering. The Een soldier held a long spear in his left hand and a large shield in his right hand. There was a huge mouth on the shield that was continuously chewing. Tang Ao had also summoned Een soldiers before in the Black-Yellow continent. However, the ones Tang Ao had summoned back then were not as powerful as this one. At this moment, this Een soldier had a cultivation base of 3rd level astral reaching realm, which was equal to Tang Ao's cultivation base. Soon, Tang Ao realized something was wrong. When Tang Ao's real body suppressed his cultivation base to 2nd level astral reaching realm, This Een soldier's cultivation base had also dropped to second-level astral reaching realm. Chapter 2371. After all, the Underworld Emperor had relied on this underworld life spirit to reign supreme in the Xianhuang world back then. As Tang Ao's cultivation state rose, the power of the underworld life spirit was slowly released in his hands as well. As Tang Ao's consciousness left, the ghost soldier returned to his dazed state. He stood up in a daze and continued to kill the souls around him. After leaving the ghost soldier, Tang Ao saw many more similar ancient warriors. The armor and weapons of these ancient warriors were not only similar to the ghost soldier from before, but they were also similar. However, this time, Tang Ao didn't study them one by one. Tang Ao's purpose of entering the underworld with his soul was to search for the netherworld flame. After closing his eyes and sensing for a moment, Tang Ao immediately sensed the location of the netherworld flame. In other places, even in the 36 realms of the true martial domain, only the demon and ghost domain had the netherworld flame. Even if the other martial domains had the netherworld flame, the amount was pitifully small. However, Tang Ao had the underworld life spirit and could enter the underworld freely. Although the netherworld flame wasn't as common as souls in the underworld, there was still a terrifying amount of it. After walking for a distance, Tang Ao waved his hand and a ball of flame flew over from the void. However, as this ball of flame flew over, Tang Ao released his hand, and the ball of netherworld flame stayed in place before quickly disappearing into the netherworld. The reason why he didn't collect this ball of netherworld flame was because it was only a grade 6 spiritual flame. What Tang Ao wanted to find now was a grade 9 netherworld flame. To use the netherworld flame to evolve into the immortal flame, ordinary people only needed a few treasures. However, as Tang Ao's understanding of the netherworld flame deepened, Tang Ao knew that there were many requirements for the netherworld flame to evolve into the immortal flame. First, the netherworld flame had to be nurtured from a grade 1 spiritual flame to a grade 9 immortal flame. This way, the netherworld flame could become the immortal flame. However, there was a very important prerequisite. It had to be fused with the underworld life spirit before the grade 9 immortal flame could become the immortal flame. There was only one underworld life spirit in the vast thousand worlds, and it had already been awakened by Tang Ao. This meant that if Tang Ao didn't die, no one else would be able to obtain the immortal flame. Here, just as Tang Ao was looking around, Tang Ao's eyes lit up. Not far from Tang Ao, there were 3 balls of flames floating quietly. Tang Ao was overjoyed when he saw the 3 balls of flames. That was because these 3 balls of flames were shockingly grade 9 spiritual fire, the netherworld flame. After obtaining the 3 balls of flames, Tang Tang, spirit by Ao, spirit by Tang, netherworld flame, Tang flame, spirit life flame, world and world spirit. World, emperor flame, Tang of world, emperor by, Tang emperor, Tang Ao of Ao. The underworld was too vast. Even with Tang Ao's current cultivation, he could only wander around the periphery of the underworld. If he wanted to go deeper into the underworld, he would need Tang Ao's real body, or Tang Ao's cultivation. After reaching the celestial turbid realm, he would be able to move unhindered in the underworld like Emperor Ming. Chapter 2372. Could it be that there are only 3 grade 9 netherworld flames in the outer perimeter? Tang Ao laughed bitterly. Tang Ao had been here for nearly 2 hours, but what made Tang Ao helpless was that ever since he obtained the 3 netherworld flames, the grade of the netherworld flames he encountered were much lower. Now that Tang Ao had many 9 colored heaven fire crystals, as long as he found the grade 9 netherworld flame, he could immediately advance to a grade 1 immortal flame. This was also the chance for Tang Ao to mass produce a grade 1 immortal flame, but now Tang Ao knew that he was overthinking it. However, Tang Ao did not give up. Tang Ao did not believe that there were only 3 grade 9 netherworld flames in the outer perimeter of the underworld. Thinking of this, Tang Ao sat down cross-legged and began to circulate the underworld life spirit to sense the location of the netherworld flames. After Tang Ao circulated the underworld life spirit with all his might, with Tang Ao as the center, it radiated outwards. Everything within 100,000 feet was within Tang Ao's perception. Tang Ao saw ancient netherworld beasts that seemed to traverse the underworld, and he saw the netherworld sword hanging upside down in the void. He saw many Een soldiers and netherworld flames, but most of them were souls. This time, Tang Ao's target was the netherworld flames. However, under Tang Ao's perception, although there were many netherworld flames, there was not a single one that met the requirements. As for those that went deeper into the underworld, under Tang Ao's perception, there was only nothingness. He could not see anything. Tang Ao knew that it was not because there was nothing in the depths of the underworld, but because Tang Ao's cultivation was limited, his soul remembrance was unable to explore the depths of the underworld. Here, after Tang Ao searched back and forth a few times, Tang Ao finally found the grade 9 netherworld flame in the northwest direction. However, this time, there was only one grade 9 netherworld flame. It was clear that the probability of finding 3 suitable netherworld flames at once like the first time was very low. After all, what Tang Ao had come into contact with was only the outermost region of the netherworld. I'm not looking anymore. After spending so much effort, I only managed to find a bunch of 9th grade netherworld flames. Tang Ao sighed. Then, he brought the 4 netherworld flames behind him and left the netherworld world. As the door to the netherworld disappeared, the martial practitioners of South Ruin City felt their bodies lighten. It was as if the heavy mountain that had been pressing down on them had suddenly disappeared. When Tang Ao came out with the 4 netherworld flames, Tang Ao saw that his netherworld flame was still evolving. At this moment, the glass flame amber was still burning slowly in the nether flame. However, compared to the beginning, the glass flame amber was more than half burned. Moreover, the aura of the nether flame had increased significantly. It had surpassed the level of a grade 2 immortal flame and was advancing towards a grade 3 immortal flame. In a corner, Little Flame was sleeping quietly on the ground, as if it was still digesting the flames it had devoured not long ago. Occasionally, its ears would twitch as if it was sensing the changes in the nether flame. This scene was rather interesting. Tang Ao waved his hand, and the nether flame that he had been thinking about earlier instantly appeared. After finding the 4 netherworld flames, Tang Ao took out 4 9-colored heavenly fire crystals and threw them over without any hesitation. The moment they sensed the 9-colored heavenly fire crystals, the 4 netherworld flames trembled. They almost instinctively wrapped around the 9-colored heavenly fire crystals and started refining them. Chapter 2373. These 4 clusters of netherworld flames were extremely valuable. Because there was only one netherworld soul, and these netherworld flames were not nurtured from a grade 1 spiritual flame. These 4 clusters of netherworld flames were destined to be unable to evolve into immortal netherworld flames. But this did not affect their value. There were very few flames in the true martial domain that could be upgraded, and the netherworld flame was considered a powerful flame that could be upgraded. Therefore, Tang Ao estimated that if he only took out 1 cluster of flames to bid, the price would not be too low. As for taking out all 4 clusters of netherworld flames to bid, Tang Ao did not have this thought at all. Although it was very easy for Tang Ao to obtain a grade 1 immortal flame, Tang Ao still understood the principle of rare things being precious. Not to mention taking out 4 clusters of netherworld flames to bid. Even if he took out 2 clusters, the value of the netherworld flame would be greatly reduced. Therefore, the most correct method was to take out a cluster of netherworld flames and put up other treasures for auction. After sealing the 4 clusters of flames in jade bottles, Tang Ao quietly waited for his original netherworld flame to successfully evolve. This wait lasted for 3 days. At the beginning, the netherworld flame's speed of fusing with the brilliant flame amber was relatively fast. But as the outer shell of the brilliant flame amber melted, the netherworld flame's refinement of the brilliant flame amber's core became extremely slow. Fortunately, after 3 days, this cluster of netherworld flame finally refined the brilliant flame amber and became a grade 3 immortal flame. As the brilliant flame amber was refined, an almost undetectable heartbeat sound came from within the netherworld flame. This sound was very soft. If it wasn't for his sharp senses, he would not have noticed it. However, Tang Ao was a martial artist with very sharp senses. Moreover, this cluster of netherworld flame was Tang Ao's soul flame. Therefore, Tang Ao's perception of the changes in the netherworld flame was the clearest. Now, Tang Ao could clearly feel that there was a life being born within his cluster of netherworld flame. After seeing the birth of the black crow demon flame fire spirit, Tang Ao knew that his netherworld flame was finally going to give birth to a fire spirit. Generally speaking, the earlier a flame spirit was born, the better the flame. Take the black crow demonic flame, for example. It only gave birth to flames when it reached the grade 6 immortal flame. In terms of potential, it could only be considered average. However, Tang Ao's netherworld flame had already given birth to a fire spirit when it was only a grade 3 immortal flame. Its potential had already reached a high level. As for the best flame, it was the flame that gave birth to a fire spirit when it was a grade 1 immortal flame. It wasn't that this type of flame didn't exist, but that some top powerhouses had set their eyes on it. It was simply not for other martial artists to get their hands on it. However, the potential of the flame did not represent the height that the flame would eventually reach. It could only be said that the greater the potential of a flame, the greater the room for growth. Like Tang Ao's netherworld flame, its potential could only be considered high, but once the netherworld flame matured into the immortal netherworld flame, it would immediately become one of the 10 great flames in the world. There were countless types of strange flames in the world, but among these flames, there were 10 that were the most powerful. Among the 10 types of flames, there were 4 with special grade potential, 3 high grade, 2 medium grade, and 1 low grade. Among them, the flame that was ranked after the low grade flame matured to its peak was the most worthy of attention. This kind of flame was called the worldly flame. The worldly flame was not a kind of flame, but a general term. That was when a low-grade flame matured into a grade 9 immortal flame, it could be called the worldly flame. Kacha. Just as Tang Ao was thinking about it, there was a cracking sound coming from the netherworld flame. Then, Tang Ao immediately saw that the netherworld flame was shrinking, and in the center of the netherworld flame, there was a pitch-black egg. This egg was covered in flames, and it was filled with cracks. At this moment, the netherworld flames were entering the eggshell through these cracks, being absorbed by the life inside the eggshell. And the life inside the eggshell was releasing a strong aura, wanting to break out of the shell. But as time passed, Tang Ao immediately saw that something was wrong. The netherworld flame had almost been completely absorbed by the eggshell, but the life inside the eggshell had not broken out. Instead, its aura was becoming weaker. Seeing this, Tang Ao's heart filled with anxiety. Tang Ao did not have time to hesitate at all. When Tang Ao saw that the last bit of netherworld flame was about to enter the eggshell, he immediately crushed a jade bottle. With a wave of his hand, a cluster of netherworld flame flew into the eggshell. The moment the netherworld flame appeared, Tang Ao could feel the eggshell tremble a bit. It also sent a longing feeling to Tang Ao. Chapter 2374. A suction force came from the flaming eggshell, and the 2 netherworld flames, which were grade 1 immortal flames, were sucked in. After absorbing the 2 netherworld flames, a ka-ka sound came from the eggshell. At the same time, an aura of life rapidly condensed within the eggshell. Tang Ao circulated his spiritual energy and activated the heavenly extreme pupils. Using the heavenly extreme pupils, Tang Ao saw traces of flame essence condense into a pocket-sized person. This pocket-sized person seemed to be in a deep sleep. After sensing Tang Ao's gaze, the pocket-sized person became a little excited and its aura became clearer. In an instant, a mysterious aura spread out and the eggshell completely shattered. The pocket-sized person appeared within the flames. However, the surging flames didn't burn the pocket-sized person. Tang Ao looked over and saw that the pocket-sized person looked like a little girl. She was dressed in a gorgeous dark purple robe. Although she was only the size of Tang Ao's palm, her pair of big eyes seemed to be sparkling. My fire spirit actually looks like a little girl. Interesting. Tang Ao looked at the pocket-sized person sitting on the flames and said calmly, "My fire spirit actually looks like a little girl." Interesting. After Tang Ao said that, Tang Ao didn't expect the fire spirit to look at him with the same gaze. It was as if in her eyes, Tang Ao was the fire spirit and she was the master. "Hey, you can talk?" Tang Ao was surprised. Although this was Tang Ao's second time seeing a real fire spirit, Tang Ao had learned from some jade slips that a fire spirit intelligence was very low when it was first born. This fire spirit was able to talk when it was just born, so its intelligence was obviously not low. "Hey, you can talk." After Tang Ao finished speaking, the fire spirit imitated Tang Ao's words. However, her voice was very immature and sounded very jerky. At this time, Tang Ao also understood that this little fellow should be able to speak, but her intelligence was not very high. Now, she could only reach the level of imitating his speech. However, Tang Ao was also pleasantly surprised. Previously, when Tang Ao saw the birth of the Black Crow Devil Flames fire spirit, he was so stunned that he didn't even know to absorb it. At this moment, his fire spirit didn't need to be taught at all. At this moment, she had already absorbed all the netherworld flames in her body. At this moment, Tang Ao's room was no longer as terrifyingly hot as before, but Tang Ao's mind moved. The fire spirit immediately understood Tang Ao's meaning. Its figure flickered and immediately turned into a burning netherworld flame. Although this netherworld flame was only a grade 3 immortal flame, its temperature was already extremely close to a grade 4 immortal flame. After the birth of the fire spirit, the power of the flames would increase, and at the same time, they would become more flexible. The netherworld flame at this moment had a kind of connection with Tang Ao. Moreover, as time passed, their tacit understanding would become more and more proficient. Just when Tang Ao wanted to try and see what other characteristics the netherworld flame had after awakening the fire spirit, the netherworld flame transformed and turned back into the appearance of the fire spirit. Looking at the fire spirit, Tang Ao pondered for a moment and said, "In the future, I will call you Ziyan." "Ziyan, Ziyan." The fire spirit said it twice. Although she didn't really understand what Tang Ao meant, Tang Ao could feel that the fire spirit seemed to be very happy. With a thought, Ziyan flew back into Tang Ao's soul sea. Chapter 2375. However, because the ruins of Immortality Auction was approaching, the prices of various materials and immortal spirit herbs were very low. Other than some extremely rare treasures, the prices of other materials had dropped to about 30% of their original prices. The Myriad Treasure Tower was the one who offered 30% of the original price. However, after 10 days, the Myriad Treasure Tower had no choice but to lower the price to 25%. Even after lowering the price to 25%, there was still an endless stream of martial practitioners heading to the Myriad Treasure Tower to sell spirit materials and immortal spirit herbs. In the South Ruined Cities market, the prices of these items had already been reduced to 20% or even less. Tang Ao had no need for low-grade immortal spirit herbs. In fact, 4 gardens had already been opened up in Tang Ao's chaotic hexagram mirror. However, 2 of these 4 gardens were basically empty at the moment. Tang Ao's first garden was filled with spirit herbs. Almost all of the common and rare spirit herbs could be seen in Tang Ao's first garden. Other than a very few extremely rare spirit herbs, Tang Ao's first garden could be considered to have gathered all the spirit herbs he needed. In the second garden, Tang Ao had planted rank 1 to rank 3 immortal herbs. Although it wasn't as complete as the spirit herbs, most of the rank 1 to rank 3 immortal herbs could be seen in Tang Ao's second garden. As for Tang Ao's third herb garden, it was planted with tier 4 to tier 6 immortal herbs. However, the third herb garden was completely empty and there were no immortal herbs to be seen. The fourth herb garden was completely empty. This fourth herb garden was prepared to be used by Tang Ao to grow tier 7 to tier 9 immortal herbs. However, Tang Ao didn't have such high-grade immortal herbs. Therefore, the fourth herb garden could only be left empty. After learning that medicinal herbs were actually so cheap in South Ruin City, Tang Ao had an idea. He set up a stall and exchanged pills for medicinal herbs. Although most martial practitioners hope to obtain immortal crystals because the Ruins of Immortality auction only accepted immortal crystals, many martial practitioners participated in the auction to obtain some special pills. Why wouldn't they be happy if they could obtain pills refined by a rank 1 immortal pill master like Tang Ao? Now that he could purchase pills refined by a grade 1 alchemy king like Tang Ao, why not? However, no one knew that Tang Ao was no longer a grade 1 alchemy master, but a grade 3 alchemy master. Tang Ao's actions immediately alleviated the pressure on South Ruin City's market, and the price of medicinal herbs also began to rise steadily. In the end, it returned to its usual 40% price. Soon, the news that Tang Ao was using medicinal pills to purchase spirit material spread. Thus, long queues formed outside the 9 Moon Elixir Pavilion every day. Tang Ao only had a total of 500,000 immortal crystals on him. However, Tang Ao had as many pills as he wanted. Even if some medicinal pills were exchanged, with Tang Ao's current alchemy ability, he could immediately refine them. During this period of time, Tang Ao had collected many Tier 1 and Tier 2 immortal herbs. Tang Ao had even collected some Tier 3 immortal herbs. However, the quantity was rather low. The same went for spirit materials. Most of them were Tier 1 and Tier 2, but Tier 3 ones were extremely rare. As the Ruins of Immortality auction approached, the crowd in front of the 9 Moon Elixir Pavilion did not decrease. In fact, when the news spread to North Ruin City, the martial practitioners of North Ruin City were extremely envious. Although there were alchemists in North Ruin City, there was naturally no alchemist as strong as Tang Ao. Chapter 2376. The axe was only a grade 1 immortal artifact. However, using the spirit forging technique, Tang Ao managed to refine it 8 times in a row. Ever since Tang Ao started cultivating the spirit forging technique, this was the highest number of times he had refined a single item. After refining the axe 9 times, its power was infinitely close to a grade 9 immortal weapon. If Tang Ao was asked to refine a grade 9 immortal weapon now, Tang Ao would never be able to do it. However, because Tang Ao had mastered the spiritual refinement method, the impossible became possible. Even though there was a successful case, it was obvious that this case could not be replicated. After successfully refining an axe, Tang Ao refined 10 similar axes, but these axes were basically scrapped after 3 times of spiritual refinement. The most successful axe could only last up to 5 times of spiritual refinement before turning into ashes in a puff of smoke. As time passed, there was only 1 day left until the Ruins of Immortality auction. Tang Ao informed the martial practitioners at the entrance of the 9 Moons Pill House that the 9 Moons Pill House would be closed for 3 days. Tang Ao's decision made many people grumble, but there was nothing they could do. Most of them were very grateful to Tang Ao. As the ruins of Immortality auction approached, spiritual herbs and materials were the least valuable. When the South Ruin City's market square lowered the price to 20%, Tang Ao forcefully raised the price back to 50%. Many people managed to buy pills from Tang Ao and were very satisfied with them. Some of the pills might not even appear in the ruins of Immortality auction. After the crowd left, Tang Ao brought the pills and immortal weapons he refined and headed to the ruins of Immortality auction. The ruins of Immortality auction was located in the depths of the ruins of Immortality mountain range. The ruins of Immortality Grand Competition was held once every 1,000 years, and the ruins of Immortality auction was held once every 100 years. The ruins of Immortality auction was held close to the ruins of Immortality Grand Competition, and there would be VIPs from the Langya realm visiting the ruins of Immortality. Its scale was unprecedented. Normally, it would be very dangerous for many martial artists to even enter the central part of the ruins of Immortality, let alone enter the depths of the ruins of Immortality to participate in the ruins of Immortality auction. However, this time around, the auction of the ruins of Immortality had directly sent out experts to clear a passage reinforced by formation from the periphery of the ruins of Immortality so that everyone could enter the depths of the ruins of Immortality. As Tang Ao walked along the ruins of Immortality auction's passageway, he could sense a powerful soul psyche scanning his surroundings every time he walked a certain distance. By the time Tang Ao saw the magnificent ruins of Immortality auction in front of him, Tang Ao had already sensed 3 such auras. Tang Ao guessed that the 3 auras came from Yin-Yang realm martial artists. The purpose was to protect the guests attending the auction, as well as to warn the crowd not to play any tricks during the ruins of Immortality auction. Tang Ao saw that the entire ruins of Immortality auction was composed of 3 parts. The largest and most eye-catching part was the auction hall of the ruins of Immortality auction, followed by the consignment hall and the VIP lounge. This time around, Tang Ao had come to submit an item for auction. However, as soon as Tang Ao arrived at the consignment hall, he was immediately shocked by the scene in front of him. There were 30 windows in the entire consignment hall, but there was a long queue at all of them. Tang Ao estimated that if he were to queue here, he might not even be able to submit an item for auction when the auction started tomorrow. Chapter 2377. The young man looked at Tang Ao in surprise. How could Tang Ao not know about the treasure appraisal channel when he came to the ruins of Immortality auction? However, because he couldn't see through Tang Ao's cultivation, he said politely, "Any treasure can be auctioned at the ruins of Immortality auction. However, ordinary items like these can only be auctioned through the auction window." The young man's tone changed, and he said in a slightly envious tone, "However, if you have some precious items, you can go to the treasure appraisal channel and have them appraised by a master appraiser. After the appraiser appraises the item, you can choose to sell it directly to the ruins of Immortality auction or auction it. Even if the item is not auctioned, the ruins of Immortality auction will eventually buy it. Generally speaking, the ruins of Immortality auction will offer a very suitable price for a treasure that can be appraised by a master appraiser. Thank you for your advice." Tang Ao clasped his fists towards the young man and walked towards the treasure appraisal channel. Tang Ao felt that the items he had on him could be considered as treasures among treasures in the ruins of immortals, even if they were in other places. Therefore, it was only natural for him to go to the treasure appraisal channel. However, Tang Ao's behavior shocked the young man. The young man wanted to remind Tang Ao that he needed an identity card to enter the treasure appraisal channel, but Tang Ao had already walked far away. The young man didn't dare to make any noise. As Tang Ao walked to the treasure appraisal channel, a group of young men and women walked over from distance. This group of people had extraordinary temperaments and wore blue robes. When they looked at the people in the auction hall, many of them had looks of contempt and disdain in their eyes. It was as if they were superior to the people in the auction hall, while the people in the auction hall were inferior. Tang Ao immediately knew who these people were. The scale of the ruins of Immortality auction this time was unprecedented. Apart from the grand competition of the ruins of Immortality, there was another important reason. There were VIPs from the Langia realm visiting the ruins of Immortality. These people must be VIPs who had come to visit the ruins of Immortality. Judging from their clothes, they seemed to be from a certain force. Tang Ao glanced at it for a moment, then shifted his gaze and walked straight towards the treasure appraisal channel. After entering, Tang Ao discovered that there were actually 2 cultivators guarding the treasure appraisal passageway. When Tang Ao walked over, one of the black-faced men coldly snorted, "Show me your identity, Jade token." An identity token from the auction? Tang Ao was stunned. This was Tang Ao's first time attending the Immortal Ruins auction. Tang Ao didn't know that the Immortal Ruins auction required an identity token. Seeing that Tang Ao didn't even know his identity token, the man's eyes flashed with disdain. Just as Tang Ao was about to ask how to obtain an identity token in the ruins of Immortality, a piercing voice came from behind him. "Get lost." The person who had spoken was a pale-faced young man. This young man was one of the people Tang Ao had seen earlier. When they saw this group of people, the cultivators behind Tang Ao, who were supposed to be appraising treasures, moved aside in a fawning manner. However, Tang Ao turned a blind eye to them. If this wasn't the ruins of Immortality auction, Song Dongquan would have taught Tang Ao a lesson. Chapter 2378. After sensing Tang Ao's frightening aura, Song Dongquan's footsteps stopped, and his expression changed. Just as he was about to say something, Tang Ao walked to the side. He was here to auction something, not to cause trouble. Otherwise, Tang Ao wouldn't mind teaching a lesson to a disrespectful person like Song Dongquan. After Tang Ao left, Song Dongquan looked at Tang Ao's back, and a fierce look flashed through his eyes. Song Dongquan was a martial artist from the Dao Seeking Academy. Although he was a bit of a spoiled brat, being able to enter the Dao Seeking Academy meant that he was a genius martial artist. Usually because he was an outer courtyard disciple of the Dao Seeking Academy and a direct descendant of the Song family, Song Dongquan had to be polite to his peers no matter where he went. But today, Tang Ao, a native of the ruins of Immortality, dared to talk back to him. At this moment, Song Dongquan was secretly determined to teach Tang Ao a lesson after the Immortal Ruins of Immortality auction. Song Dongquan could tell that Tang Ao's current cultivation base was at the 3rd level of the astral reaching realm, which was 2 levels lower than him. Under such circumstances, he would definitely let Tang Ao die without even knowing how he died. The people behind Song Dongquan also looked at Song Dongquan and Tang Ao with a strange expression. Obviously, they didn't expect that a native martial artist of the ruins of Immortality would dare to offend a student of the Dao Seeking Academy. In the east region of the Langia realm, there were 5 great academies. These 5 academies were above all the sects, controlling more than 70% of the resources in the entire east region. Although the eastern region also had various king-level experts, these experts were suppressed by the 5 great academies. Moreover, most of these marquee experts came from the 5 great academies. Therefore, most of the marquee experts from the 5 great academies were supportive of the 5 great academies. They would even give the students of the 5 great academies some convenience when they came to their territories. As long as one could enter the 5 academies, even the most ordinary outer courtyard disciple would have a very high status. Song Dongquan's group were all outer courtyard disciples of the Dao Seeking Academy, one of the 5 academies. It was also because of their arrival that the scale of the ruins of Immortality auction was unprecedented. This time, it wasn't just the Dao Seeking Academy's cultivators who had come. Cultivators from the 5 great academies and the Greenwood Academy had also come. However, the martial artists from the Greenwood Academy had already arrived 7 days ago and were currently resting in the VIP lounge. After Tang Ao retreated to the side, he immediately discovered something interesting. Tang Ao thought that the black-faced man who was in charge of checking the identity jade card only had a bad attitude towards him. But Tang Ao soon discovered that no matter who this black-faced man talked to, he always had a high and mighty attitude. Even Song Dongquan did not dare to act rashly in front of this black-faced burly man. He obediently took out a golden identity jade token. Some of the people behind Song Dongquan took out their silver identity jade cards, while others took out their golden identity jade cards like Song Dongquan. Just as this group of people was about to enter the treasure appraisal passageway, Tang Ao suddenly saw a young girl walking at the back take out a purple gold identity jade card. After seeing this purple gold identity jade card, the black-faced, burly man's expression finally eased a little. He even squeezed out a smile at the young girl. However, even this smile was full of killing intent. Chapter 2379. If it were any other identity jade token, even if it were a gold identity jade token, it wouldn't be able to bring anyone into the appraisal hall. However, with this purple gold identity jade token, it wouldn't be a problem for her to bring someone into the appraisal hall. Under the guidance of the girl in purple dress, the black-faced man who guarded the treasure appraisal hall snorted coldly and didn't say anything. Tang Ao, what treasure are you here to appraise? Although this was the girl's first time meeting Tang Ao, her easygoing personality made it seem like they had known each other for many years after chatting with Tang Ao for a while. At the same time, Tang Ao also found out the girl's name. She was called Chun Ye, and she had an elder sister called Chun Yixiao. The reason why Chun Ye hated Song Dongquan was because Song Dongquan had been pressuring the Chun family to marry her elder sister. Her elder sister had been very patient and had disappeared for a long time. Because of this, Chun Ye and Song Dongquan were like fire and water after entering the Dao Seeking Academy. I'm here to appraise elixirs and immortal equipment. This time, Tang Ao didn't plan to auction anything else. He just wanted to auction the elixirs and immortal equipment that he had refined during this period of time. Tang Ao noticed that there were a total of 5 treasure appraisal rooms in the ruins of Immortality Auction. Although there were certain requirements to enter the treasure appraisal rooms, they were still crowded at the moment. Just as Tang Ao was hesitating about where to go to appraise the treasures, the jade card on Chun Ye's waist suddenly fluctuated. Chun Ye's face lit up and she said to Tang Ao, "This is great. The Chamber of Ruins of Immortality specially added a treasure appraisal room for us. There are too many people here. Let's go there." Tang Ao thought for a moment and followed her. Since there was an additional treasure appraisal room, it should be fine for Tang Ao to take the opportunity to appraise the treasures after the Dao Seeking Academy students were done appraising the treasures. If not, he would give the storage ring to Chun Ye and let her appraise it for him. Although they had only known each other for a short time, Tang Ao found that this lively girl was easy to get along with. However, for some reason, most of the Dao Seeking Academy students were trying to get along with Song Dongquan and another woman. As for Chun Ye, there weren't many who were close to her. In Tang Ao's opinion, Chun Ye was the only one who had a purple gold identity jade token, so the Chun clan should not be weak. In fact, Tang Ao's guess was correct. The Chun family was indeed a top-notch family in the Langyu world's eastern region. In the past, the Chun family was even the leader of the eastern region's 10 families. But because of some unforeseen events, the Chun family slowly declined. Now, the Chun family could only be considered a second-rate family in the eastern region. Otherwise, the small Song family wouldn't dare to the Chun family. However, as the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Although the Chun family had been in decline for 1,000 years, they were still a second-rate family. Even among the second-rate aristocratic families, the Chun family's strength was above average. It wasn't hard to see how terrifying the Chun family's foundation was. Because of this, countless second-rate families had their eyes on the Chun family. The Song family was one of them. The Song family even used their influence to slightly pressure the Chun family. They wanted the Chun family's eldest daughter, Chun Yixiao, to marry Song Dongquan, a direct descendant of the Song family. Chapter 2380. Tang Ao chose to ignore Song Dongquan's words. In Tang Ao's opinion, Song Dongquan was a mad dog that would bite anyone he caught. Tang Ao ignored Song Dongquan, but Chunye wasn't having it. Seeing Song Dongquan look down on Tang Ao, Chunye immediately said, "How do you know that Big Brother Tang Ao doesn't have any treasures? When Big Brother Tang Ao takes out his treasures, you'll be blinded." Junior sister Chun, even if you're from the Chun family, you better be polite when you speak to senior brother Song. As soon as Chunye finished her sentence, a young man who had been following Song Dongquan jumped out and said, "It's none of your business. Do you believe that I won't beat you up?" Chunye didn't avoid the young man. Instead, she raised her fist. Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chunye was like a little chili pepper. She was fine with whatever she liked, but she would explode if she didn't like it. Ma Lu was infuriated when he heard Chun Ye's words. They were all outer court disciples of Dao Seeking Academy. He was born poor, so he tried to please Song Dongquan. However, Chun Ye's provocation made Ma Lu furious. "What about you? I'm going to beat you up when we get back to Dao Seeking Academy." In Chun Ye's opinion, Ma Lu usually followed Song Dongquan around to do bad things. To a certain extent, Ma Lu was even more annoying than Song Dongquan. Others might be afraid of Song Dongquan, but Chunye wasn't afraid at all. "I'll be waiting for you at the dueling platform. Don't be afraid." Ma Lu knew that this girl had no sense of propriety and that she would only embarrass herself if she continued. After saying that, he immediately retreated into the crowd. After the crowd quietened down, the old man in charge of appraising coughed and said, "I'm Su Lin. This time, I'll be appraising the items for you. Don't worry, you can take out whatever treasures you have. I'll definitely give you a satisfactory price." Su Lin fell helpless towards this group of young men. If ordinary people dared to quarrel in the treasure appraisal room of the ruins of Immortality Auction, Su Lin would have already asked someone to send them out. Unfortunately, these people had powerful backgrounds. They were martial artists from Dao Seeking Academy, one of the 5 academies in the Eastern region. Moreover, the Wendao Academy was not just one of the 5 academies in the Eastern region. The current Lord of the Langia realm and a half-step down master from the Chamber of Immortal Ruins were both from the Wendao Academy. As such, the status of the Dao Seeking Academy in the Langia realm was even higher. "Grandmaster Su, this is the item I want to auction." After Su Lin finished speaking, a martial artist handed over a tricolored pill in a jade bottle. Generally speaking, although there were many colors of medicinal pills, almost all of them were pure colors. A tricolored medicinal pill like this was extremely rare. Furthermore, this tricolored pill was not meant for martial artists, but for immortal beasts. Triple reversal blood, reversal pill. After seeing this pill, even Su Lin's eyebrows twitched. Others might not recognize this elixir, but as a grade 2 alchemy master, how could Su Lin not recognize it? Many immortal beasts had powerful bloodlines left behind from ancient times, but due to various reasons, these bloodlines were constantly weakening. Chapter 2381. The Grand Elder of Dao Seeking Academy, who was passing by the restaurant, saw that the Black Bull was extraordinary and bought it. After buying it, the Grand Elder of Dao Seeking Academy fed the Black Bull a 3-revolution revolting Shui pill that he had obtained by chance. In the end, the Black Bull fell into a state of suspended animation after consuming the pill and slept for 3,000 years. When the Black Bull woke up, the Grand Elder of Dao Seeking Academy realized that it wasn't a black bull, but a barbaric bull of heaven desolation that had been extinct for tens of thousands of years. Although Tang Ao knew that these fellas were from the Langia world, Tang Ao didn't expect them to offer a top-grade 3 immortal pill, the 3-revolution blood revolting pill. Even so, Tang Ao didn't think too much about it. There were too many good things in the world, and he couldn't possibly have all of them. Tang Ao had a snow-winged spirit cat in his primal chaos 6-light mirror. Of course, Tang Ao could concoct the 3-revolution blood revolting pill. However, Most of the ingredients needed to concoct the 3-revolution blood revolting pill were already extinct. Therefore, even if Tang Ao wanted to concoct it, he wouldn't be able to. Tang Ao was prepared to buy the 3-revolution blood revolting pill at the auction. 3-revolution blood revolting pill. A powerful pill that can awaken the ancient bloodline of demonic beasts. This pill is not bad, and its quality is also very good. I value it at 1 million low-grade immortal crystals. Thank you, Senior. The youth who took out the pill was overjoyed when he heard that Su Lin valued it at 1 million. He had found this 3-revolution blood revolting pill in a relic, and he had found a total of 3. He had already sold the other 2, but the total price of the 2 didn't reach 1 million immortal crystals. Congratulations, junior brother he. The surrounding martial artists from Dao Seeking Academy congratulated him when they saw that the pill was worth 1 million immortal crystals. Many people here had around 1 million low-grade immortal crystals, but he had only taken out a pill, and it was already equivalent to many people's net worth. He was also overjoyed. At this moment, He's intestines were green with regret. He thought of the 2 pills from before. He had only sold one for 50,000 immortal crystals because he didn't know what it was. The other one was sold in an auction and was only sold for 300,000 immortal crystals. Tang Ao felt that the price given by Su Lin was a bit too high. After all, there weren't many demonic beasts with ancient bloodlines. Furthermore, there was a chance that the 3 revolutions blood reversal pill could awaken the ancient bloodline within a demonic beast. Even if many demonic beasts possessed ancient bloodlines, it was common for them to be unable to awaken even after using the 3 revolutions blood reversing pill. With He's stunning appearance, Tang Ao also looked at the others with anticipation. After all, this group of people had come from the real, true martial world. Tang Ao also wanted to see what treasures they had. However, Tang Ao soon realized that his expectations were too high. After all, even the Langya world couldn't be a place with treasures everywhere. Therefore, after He's triple blood reversal pill, Tang Ao didn't see anything else that interested him. Perhaps they had concerns, or perhaps they were unwilling to take out their treasures to sell, but the items of the last few people were all quite ordinary. In the eyes of ordinary martial artists, it might be a treasure. However, in the eyes of Tang Ao, it was just so. Chapter 2382. In the past, Su Lin could barely guess a thing or two about those treasures. However, other than being able to determine that this incense burner wasn't ordinary, Su Lin didn't know anything else. However, as an appraiser, he couldn't say that this incense burner was extraordinary and worth 1 million immortal crystals. If he did that, then he wouldn't need to come to the Immortal Ruins auction to appraise treasures anymore. Thinking of this, Su Lin sighed. "Lady, please keep this item well. Forgive this old man's poor eyes, but I can't tell what treasure this is. I'm ashamed. Hearing Su Lin say this, the veiled woman lightly smiled. Although she looked indifferent on the surface, her heart was filled with disappointment. This was the only thing her father left behind. Over the years, she had let countless people see this incense burner, but no one knew what it was. Tang Ao couldn't tell what treasure this incense burner was, but Tang Ao had an absurd feeling that there was a faint pill aura fluctuation around this incense burner. This incense burner was used to burn incense. If someone told Tang Ao that this incense burner was used to concoct pills, then Tang Ao really wouldn't be able to accept it. However, the more Tang Ao used his soul remembrance to sense, the clearer this pill aura became. It was as if this incense burner really had concocted many pills in the past, which was why it produced this pill aura. However, even Tang Ao felt this was very absurd. Although he thought this, Tang Ao still couldn't help but ask, "Senior apprentice sister, is this incense burner used by an alchemist to concoct pills?" Hearing Tang Ao's words, everyone instantly looked at Tang Ao. Chun Ye's large eyes were full of astonishment. She even extended her hand to rub Tang Ao's head, wondering if Tang Ao's brain wasn't working well. Song Dongquan first paused, then laughed out loud. Haha, could it be that this tiny immortal ruins doesn't even have two alchemists? Who told you that you could use an incense burner to concoct pills? After Song Dongquan laughed, the people beside Song Dongquan also ridiculed him. Their gazes towards Tang Ao became even more disdainful. However, no one saw that when Tang Ao said these words, Su Lin suddenly thought of something and came to a sudden realization. Then he shook his head. Su Lin probably felt that his idea was a little ridiculous. When the veiled woman in white heard Tang Ao's words, her delicate body trembled. At the same time, a cold light flashed in her beautiful eyes. How did you know that this is an alchemist's concoction item? As Bai Luyu spoke, the chi on his body surged, and his astral reaching realm level 7 power suddenly covered Tang Ao. It was as if she would immediately kill Tang Ao if he dared to utter a single word of nonsense. When the crowd heard Bai Luyu's words, they couldn't wrap their heads around it. Was this incense burner really an alchemist's alchemy tool? How is this possible? Bai Luyu did not know what this incense burner was, but she was certain that it was used by her father to refine medicine. Alchemy was not the same as alchemy. In fact, alchemy was only a type of alchemy. When Bai Luyu found this incense burner, her father had already disappeared. Only this incense burner and some green powder were found by Bai Luyu. Chapter 2383. Seeing Bai Luyu's expression, how could the crowd not know that Tang Ao was right? No matter what Tang Ao was thinking, he was right. This incense burner was actually being used to refine medicine. Tang Ao had originally wanted to say a few words, but now that Bai Luyu had enveloped Tang Ao with her powerful aura, Tang Ao was immediately angered. He had nothing to do with Bai Luyu, so it was only natural that he didn't say anything. If Bai Luyu had spoken nicely, Tang Ao wouldn't have minded revealing his discovery. However, when Bai Luyu seemed to be flaunting her cultivation, Tang Ao was immediately angered. Immediately, Tang Ao's body trembled and an incomparably refined spiritual energy swept around Tang Ao. With the help of this spiritual energy, Tang Ao actually calmly retreated from Bai Luyu's murderous intent. After retreating, Tang Ao said coldly, "No comment." Bai Luyu didn't expect that Tang Ao would refuse to say anything even though she had some clues. At the thought of this, Bai Luyu's aura erupted and she was about to teach Tang Ao a lesson. No matter what, she had to make Tang Ao spill everything he knew. Just as Bai Luyu flew up, a cold snort sounded out of nowhere. Under this cold snort, Bai Luyu's aura fluctuated violently, and she fell from the sky. However, Bai Luyu didn't dare to act rashly. She hurriedly cupped her fists and said to the void, "This matter has something to do with me. I was too anxious just now. Please forgive me, Senior." After Bai Luyu said this, the powerful pressure that enveloped this place disappeared. Bai Luyu also heaved a sigh of relief. Bai Luyu knew that the pressure should have come from one of the supreme elders of the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce. The other party didn't make things difficult for her because she was from the Wendao Academy. Even so, Bai Luyu's eyes were still fixed on Tang Ao. Although Tang Ao now knew why Bai Luyu was so agitated, Tang Ao still didn't like Bai Luyu's attitude. Tang Ao was someone who was amenable to coaxing but not coercion. If he said a few nice words and had a better attitude, Tang Ao would naturally be amiable and easy to talk to. But if you want to take advantage of your power to bully others, then sorry, you found the wrong target. After this small interlude, another martial artist from the Wendao Academy went to appraise the treasures. However, there were still no rare items. Only when Song Dongquan appeared did Tang Ao turn his gaze to look again. The axe in Song Dongquan's hand also attracted everyone's attention. Even Bai Luyu, who had been staring at Tang Ao, couldn't help but look back. The grade of the axe was not too high. It was only a grade 1 immortal artifact. Among the celestial artifacts appraised just now, There was even a martial artist who took out a grade 4 celestial artifact to auction. But as Song Dongquan poured his spirit energy into the axe, 5 light patterns immediately appeared on the axe. Senior Brother Song actually took out a treasure with 5 stages of spirit refinement. 5 stages of spirit refinement. Even if it's a grade 1 celestial artifact, it's equivalent to a grade 4 celestial artifact. Moreover, it's infinitely close to grade 5. Moreover, because it's a grade 1 celestial artifact, it's very easy for astral-reaching realm martial artists to use it. There won't be any situation where they can't control it. Chapter 2384. The reason why he took it out for appraisal was just to show off. When Su Lin saw the axe, his eyes almost popped out. But when he thought that Song Dongquan might not be willing to auction it, he could only sigh helplessly. A grade 1 immortal weapon, the mountain-splitting axe, made from 10,000 years old fine iron. Even among the grade 1 immortal weapons, it is still a top-grade item. The most valuable thing is that it has refined its spirit 5 times. The path of spirit refinement is extremely mysterious. Many treasures would turn into ashes after refining their spirit once. But this mountain-splitting axe has refined its spirit 5 times. It is truly rare. This old man has been appraising treasures in the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce for many years. But this is only the 2nd time I have seen such a treasure. Although he knew that Song Dongquan would most likely not make a move, Su Lin stroked his beard and asked, "Young Master Song, our Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce will trade this item with a mid-grade mysterious yellow pellet and 10 million immortal crystals. How about it?" Hearing Su Lin's words, even if Song Dongquan did not plan to sell it, he was still shocked. 10 million immortal crystals were nothing to Song Dongquan. What he cared about was the mid-grade mysterious yellow pellet. The mysterious yellow pellet only had one function, which was to allow astral-reaching realm martial artists to refine their aptitude. Although martial aptitude was fixed at birth, as one's cultivation increased, the potential within a martial artist's body would continue to be unearthed. However, at the same time, because of the increase in cultivation, one's body would be fixed, and the plasticity would become lower and lower. After reaching the astral-reaching realm, even if one's body still had endless potential, it would basically be fixed. In fact, apart from a few martial artists with heaven-defying aptitude, ordinary martial artists would not even be able to unearth half of their potential after reaching the astral-reaching realm. It was also because of this situation that an astonishing pill had appeared in the true martial realm. This pill was called the Mysterious Yellow Pellet. The name of the Mysterious Yellow Pellet was very ordinary, but its effect was extremely heaven-defying. Not to mention mid-grade Mysterious Yellow Pellet. Even the most ordinary Mysterious Yellow Pellet would set off a bloody storm once it appeared. It would cause countless forces to fight. As long as an astral-reaching realm martial artist could obtain a Mysterious Yellow Pellet, regardless of their aptitude, they would have no problem cultivating to the yin-yang realm. If their aptitude was not bad, they would even have the qualifications to attack the chaotic sky realm. Muddy Heaven realm martial artists had truly entered the ranks of the powerhouses. As long as a chaotic heaven realm expert appeared in a martial arts clan, and as long as the chaotic heaven realm expert didn't die, the clan would definitely prosper for a long time. When a man achieves the Tao, he will be blessed by 10,000 generations. When he heard that Su Lin had used the mysterious yellow pill to exchange with him, Song Dongquan's heart wavered. After a long internal struggle, Song Dongquan decided to trade. Song Dongquan's plan was to first exchange for the mysterious yellow elixir, and then wait for the Ruins of Immortality auction to auction the axe before buying it back at high price. Although he, Song Dongquan, did not have mysterious yellow pills, he, Song Dongquan, did not lack immortal crystals. "Thank you, Senior Su. I'm willing to make an exchange with the Chamber of Commerce in the Ruins of Immortality," Song Dongquan said as he handed the axe to Su Lin. When Su Lin heard Song Dongquan's words, he was overjoyed. Although the black-yellow pill was precious, it was not as precious to the Chamber of Immortal Ruins as it was to the outside world. Chapter 2385. Among these three materials, the other two were nothing to the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce. However, the last one, the Primal Chaos Aura, gave the Chamber of Commerce a headache. Primal Chaos Aura only existed when the world was created. Only treasures and materials possessed it. It could be said that the more it was used, the less it would be used. Even if the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce's financial power was frightening and its branches were spread throughout the three great martial realms. However, the Chamber of Commerce didn't have many treasures that contained Primal Chaos Aura. Even so, Su Lin was very satisfied with exchanging a mid-grade black-yellow pellet for an axe with 5 times spirit refinement. Su Lin had already asked the Chamber of Commerce's Elders Guild. After all, the black-yellow pellet was a very special resource. However, the Elders Guild approved of Su Lin's method. Therefore, the transmission array behind Su Lin flickered and a jade bottle appeared. There was only one pellet in the jade bottle. The moment they saw the pellet, the group of Dao Seeking Academy students breathing quickened because they were all at the astral reaching realm. If they could get their hands on this black-yellow pellet, they might even have a chance of reaching the chaotic sky realm. However, this pellet was Song Dongquan's, so no one had the guts to snatch it. Song Dongquan's hands trembled as he received the pellet. Without any hesitation, he swallowed the pellet. He looked very cautious, but no one laughed at him. Everyone felt that no matter who it was, they would take the pellet as soon as they obtained it. After Song Dongquan took the pill, he immediately felt the surging medicinal power in the pill slowly improving his physique. After obtaining the black-yellow pellet, Song Dongquan was in a good mood. Even his previous gloominess was swept away. Although he still wanted to kill Tang Ao, Song Dongquan was no longer as depressed as before. After Song Dongquan, Chunye also stepped forward. Chunye then took out an amber-like blood-colored transparent stone from her storage ring. There seemed to be a soul within this transparent blood-colored stone. This soul was a bee soul that somewhat resembled a tortoise. However, this tortoise had 2 heads. One was a flood dragon head, while the other was a snake head. The Dao Seeking Academy martialists were confused when they saw this item. They had no idea what it was. On the other hand, Tang Ao was overjoyed. The 4th level of the Great Desolate Immortal Body required the blood crystal of the 4 spirits. What Chunye took out was a Xuanwu blood crystal. If he had known earlier that Chunye had such a black tortoise blood crystal, no matter what kind of treasure Tang Ao used, as long as he could take it out, Tang Ao would definitely exchange it with Chunye. Su Lin played with the black tortoise blood crystal in his hand for a long time, then said lightly, "I didn't expect that a little kid like you would have a black tortoise blood crystal. This black tortoise blood crystal has many uses, whether it's refining equipment, alchemy, or other aspects. I'll take it as 5 million immortal crystals. This stone is so valuable." Chunye's eyes widened. She had picked up this stone in a secret area of the Dao Seeking Academy. In that secret area, Chunye had seen a huge tortoise that covered the sky. There were many similar stones under the tortoise's body. On a whim, Chunye had picked one up. The tortoise seemed to be asleep. After Chunye took the blood crystal, it didn't react. Chapter 2386. After Chunye, Tang Ao was the only one left in the room who had yet to submit a treasure for auction. Everyone looked at Tang Ao mockingly. In their opinion, this native of the ruins of immortality was asking to be humiliated by following Chunye here. Everyone had heard of the barrenness of the ruins of immortality. How could a cultivator from the ruins of immortality like Tang Ao have anything good on him? It's your turn. Didn't you want to appraise your treasure? Take out your treasure and let us have a look. Haha, don't worry. The Chamber of the Ruins of Immortality has certain requirements for treasures. If your treasure doesn't pass Senior Sue's test, I will take it all. At this moment, everyone looked at Tang Ao with disdain in their eyes. Bai Luoyu did not have such thoughts. She only hoped that Tang Ao would tell her what Tang Ao had found on the incense burner. Chun Ye, who was standing in front of Tang Ao, widened her eyes. She regretted bringing Tang Ao along. She should have given Tang Ao some treasures on the way here. You want to see my treasure? What's so difficult about that? Tang Ao had come here to submit an item. Since these people wanted to see it, he would let them have a look. Tang Ao stepped forward and clasped his fists at Su Lin. Then, Tang Ao took out a first-grade elixir. There was only one elixir in the bottle, but Su Lin was shocked when he saw it. A first-grade, king-grade violet heart elixir. Su Lin recalled the rumor that there was an alchemist in the ruins of immortality who could refine a first-grade king-grade celestial elixir. Could that first-grade king-grade celestial alchemist be this young man? Song Dongquan and the rest were speechless. The violet heart elixir was nothing to them. They could even get a supreme-grade violet heart elixir if they were willing to pay the price. However, this was the first time many of them had seen a king-grade violet heart elixir. No one had expected that Tang Ao would actually take out such a treasure the moment he made his move. Even so, Song Dongquan still said in a cold voice, "It's enough for a healing pill to have a healing effect. Although this Tier 1 King Tier Purple Heart Pill is rare, its effect is limited. Below the third level of the astral reaching realm, it would be fine, but beyond that, this pellet would not have much effect." Young Master Song is right. However, even so, a Tier 1 King Grade Elixir is still very rare. I've been appraising treasures in the Chamber of Immortal Ruins for many years, but this is the first time I've seen a first-grade King Tier Purple Heart Pill. I'll pay 100,000 immortal crystals for this bottle of pills. To Tang Ao, 100,000 immortal crystals was too little, but to the Purple Heart Pill, 100,000 immortal crystals was already a sky-high price. The reason he said this was because the price of a top-grade Purple Heart Pill was only 10,000 immortal crystals per pill, but the king-level Purple Heart Pill that Tang Ao had refined was actually 10 times more expensive than a top-grade Purple Heart Pill. Although this bottle of Purple Heart Pill was only worth 100,000 immortal crystals, this time, Tang Ao put up more than this bottle of Purple Heart Pill for auction. Soon, under the shocked gazes of Song Dongquan and the rest, Tang Ao took out 9 bottles of this kind of first-grade King Tier Purple Heart Pill. Seeing that Tang Ao had taken out so many first-grade King Tier Purple Heart Pills, even Su Lin was moved. However, Su Lin was indeed worthy of being an appraiser of the Chamber of Immortal Ruins. He had seen a lot of treasures over the years, and had experienced too many situations. Chapter 2387. A top-notch healing elixir like the Purple Heart Pill was in high demand by many forces. If there was only one, it would be difficult for others to pay attention to it. However, when there were so many of them, it was hard not to pay attention to it. After Tang Ao took out 10 bottles of Purple Heart Pills, everyone stopped talking. Many people even wanted to befriend Tang Ao. The fact that Tang Ao could take out 10 bottles of Grade 1 King Grade Purple Heart Pills at once meant that either Tang Ao was a Grade 1 King Grade Immortal Alchemist, or Tang Ao had a close relationship with a Grade 1 King Grade Immortal Alchemist. Regardless of the reason, Tang Ao was worth befriending. Seeing the change in everyone's expressions, Tang Ao laughed in his heart. These 10 bottles of Purple Heart Pills were just an appetizer. At that moment, Tang Ao waved his hand, and a jade bottle appeared in Tang Ao's hand. There was a ball of purple flame burning in the jade bottle. Because Zian often took out this ball of flame to play with, the ball of flame even had a trace of the aura of the fire spirit. After seeing this ball of flame, Su Lin, who was originally sitting, suddenly stood up. The 2 powerful psyches that had been sweeping the surroundings also gathered on the jade bottle in Tang Ao's hand. A Grade 1 immortal flame, netherworld flame, Su Lin said with a trembling voice. At the same time, Su Lin took a deep look at Tang Ao, then took the jade bottle and slowly opened it. After opening the jade bottle, Su Lin hurriedly sealed it after taking a look. A white-haired old man with a youthful face had appeared in the treasure appraisal room. When Su Lin saw this person, he immediately said respectfully, "Disciple greets master." Everyone from Wendao Academy was stunned. No one expected that the bottle of flame Tang Ao took out would attract a supreme elder of the immortal ruin chamber of commerce. The white-haired old man nodded slightly at Su Lin and waved his hand. The jade bottle containing the netherworld flame appeared in the white-haired old man's hand. The white-haired old man removed Su Lin's seal, then took out the ball of netherworld flame and observed it carefully. Seeing this white-haired old man, Tang Ao felt a little nervous. Tang Ao could tell that this white-haired old man was at the peak of Yin-Yang stage level 9, a half-step chaotic heaven stage existence. This old man also had a medicinal fragrance on his body. Obviously, he was also an alchemist. Among the many immortal flames, the netherworld flame isn't the best. But the first great immortal flame, the netherworld flame, had the highest plasticity. Moreover, this netherworld flame even had a trace of the fire spirit's aura. If there were no accidents, there would be a 60% chance that a fire spirit would be born when the immortal flame evolved to a rank 3 or rank 4 immortal flame. I'll give you 30 million low-grade immortal crystals for this item. How about it? Just now, when everyone had put their items up for auction, Su Lin had directly stated his price. But this time, Su Lin's master, the supreme elder of the immortal ruins chamber of commerce, had come personally to discuss with Tang Ao. "Thank you, senior." Tang Ao knew that if he haggled, he would definitely get more. However, Tang Ao would be able to mass-produce a first-grade immortal flame of this level in a short period of time. Therefore, Tang Ao was already very satisfied that he could earn 30 million low-grade immortal crystals from this ball of netherworld flame. This ball of netherworld flame was also the most expensive treasure in this treasure appraisal room so far. Chapter 2388. This time, Tang Ao took out a pill cauldron. When Han Shan's soul remembrance swept over the cauldron, he retracted his foot that was about to step forward. Then, Han Shan turned around and walked to the front of the appraisal table, carefully examining the pill furnace. After examining it for a while, Han Shan realized that this pill furnace should be a new item. However, even so, there was still a faint pill aroma coming from the pill furnace. Clearly, this pill furnace had been used by a very powerful pill master to refine pills before, so there was still a lingering fragrance in the pill furnace. The pill furnace was a third-grade pill furnace, but it had been forged 3 times using the spirit refinement forging method. Compared to a 6th-grade immortal pill furnace, this pill furnace was not much inferior. However, for an astral reaching realm pill master, this pill furnace was clearly easier to control than a 6th-grade immortal pill furnace. Han Shan looked around the pill furnace twice, then said to Su Lin, "This pill furnace is just right for you. You can bid now." Hearing Han Shan's words, Su Lin's worried heart finally relaxed. Because this pill furnace had been forged 3 times, it was also suitable for Han Shan to use. Moreover, if this pill furnace was bought by the immortal ruins chamber of commerce, it would most likely have to go to his master. No matter how brave he was, he would not dare to covet his master's things. Hearing Han Shan's words, in order to prevent him from going back on his words, Su Lin said without hesitation, "Brother Tang Ao, how about 10 million low-grade immortal crystals for this pill furnace?" "Thank you, old brother." The fact that this pill furnace could be sold for 10 million low-grade immortal crystals was already out of Tang Ao's expectations. After all, this pill furnace was refined by Tang Ao from South Ruin City when the price of spirit materials and immortal spirit herbs had dropped drastically. In terms of cost, it was not even 1,000 immortal crystals. This time, Tang Ao did not call Su Lin senior, but Su Lin was not angry at all. Instead, he was very satisfied. It was like if Tang Ao called him senior again, he would immediately turn hostile. Although this pill furnace would eventually fall into Su Lin's hands, Su Lin could not directly take out 10 million immortal crystals and give it to Tang Ao. At this moment, the people of the Dao Seeking Academy were already numb. Seeing Tang Ao take out one treasure after another, they could no longer tell if Tang Ao was a native of the ruins of immortality or if they were natives of the ruins of immortality. However, this was only the beginning and not the end. After the 3-star pill furnace, Tang Ao took out many first-grade, second-grade, and even a portion of third-grade pills. It wasn't just pills, there were also immortal artifacts. These immortal artifacts range from grade 1 to grade 3. In the end, the pills that Tang Ao took out were worth 80 million low-grade immortal crystals. The celestial artifact that Tang Ao took out was worth 90 million low-grade celestial crystals. The crowd from the Dao Seeking Academy was dazzled by the sight of so many treasures. At this moment, they could only hope that Tang Ao would stop and not take out more treasures to provoke them. At this moment, some people even suspected that Tang Ao was the illegitimate child of some peerless almighty who had been sent to the lower realms to train. That was why he had so many treasures on him. Even Han Shan couldn't help but frown as he looked at the treasures on the appraisal table. This was because Tang Ao's wealth as an astral-reaching realm martial artist was not inferior to that of many yin-yang realm martial artists. Seeing everyone's dumbfounded expressions, Tang Ao pondered for a moment and decided to take out 3 items in the end. There are even more treasures. Heavens, what did I do wrong to show these to me? Is the gap between people this big? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.